All right. Let's see if we can get this to work again. All right. Let's see if we can get this bad boy working this time. Gotta love it. Define. Let me see. Yep, back again, Mimi. Yep, we got her this time. I just did a reboot anyway. Though somebody actually suggested that. I said, well, I'll go ahead and wait. And just to make sure everything is running 100%, we decided to just restart the thing and do a 2.0. We'll just restart it. Make it a little bit easier, right? So let's do that. All right. Gotta love it. Got to love it. Okay, that's good. All right. That's a little better. All right. So everybody should be able to hear me and see me now. We think we're good. Let's see. We got here. Drop that down here a bit, maybe. We'll go right there. That should be about right. Right. I don't want to be in the red and overdrive the thing, so let's keep her back a little bit. But yeah. So yeah, Ricardo had nothing to do with you. He's like, oh, I apologize for that. Oh, it had nothing to do with him. But this thing kind of happens. I even told him maybe it was the powers that be. Who knows? Because I never had this kind of issue. You can have a couple of hiccups along the way and have these issues. It happens. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this thing just was like, yeah, I'm just not going to work for you. How's that sound? And you know, you got to kind of go with it. Got to love the technology, either like it or hate it. So, but there we are. We're back again, and we should be back to normal, no problem. Mimi, yes, you said hello, and Snoop Block says, howdy, we're back. Let me watch what's going on. So we're going to act like this is a whole new thing. We don't have to go, 4 hours. We don't have to do that. But still, I've been looking forward to this, and let's just put it this way. If you guys heard me behind the scenes, you would probably say, okay, he makes a truck driver sound like a saint. Yeah, I was not happy. Let's just put it that way. And on top of that, of course, when you restart it, oh, and by the way, it's got to do your updates. You're going, oh, my God, please stop with the updates, people. You know what I mean? I understand it's for security. I get all that. But, Jesus. Rico Viglione, what's happening? We're back on track. Oh, yeah. I think, well, probably one good positive thing that came out, you guys were actually chatting while we were having these technical difficulties and got back on, right? So it did give you guys a little chance to actually chit-chat a little bit. So that's probably the only thing that came out of this. But as far as the technical problems. So, yeah, and you said, this is more like it. Yeah, like I said, I already told Ricardo that what we'll do is we'll get together and set it up the way we want it because I like to have him back on. And the funny thing about it is I could actually have him going directly through. You guys would hear him absolutely perfect. Problem with it is I couldn't hear him. So if he asked me a question, I wouldn't be able to answer him. So it'd be kind of silly the way it was set up. So, although we tried to get the audio better, still not the same. You guys know that. So we'll definitely get it all ironed out and straightened out next time. Miss Heard, what's going back on? What's happening here? She says, howdy again, everyone. Mick, yeah, he said, hi again. Len Peterson said, good morning, everyone. Well, you must be over there in either Australia or New Zealand or somewhere there. Richard Bond, what's happening? This is good for a Friday night at this show. Yeah, we tried to. Of course, we failed the first time, but that's okay. These things happen. Yeah. Yeah, Ricardo, yeah, I mean, we'll Miss Heard saying it's such a shame that I could barely hear you, Ricardo. So what I do is I end up trying to put the microphone closer to the speakers, which is not the way I want to run it. It's just, to me, it's just half-ass. I don't like it like that. I like stuff running right or just I'm not happy. And And you could just see there was kind of like I don't know if I want to use the term awkwardness, but I'm trying to get this thing right and whatever. Like I said, it happens. Oh, yeah. Ricardo always said, hopefully we'll be able to have another go in the future. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Cash Tuttle says, the question was, do you think we are from Mars originally? Sure does look like it. Maybe we go back and forth, destroy one and go to the other. You know what? I probably even said that on my podcast before that, they're saying now, a lot of scientists are saying that we are probably Martians. Now, I hate to use that terminology because it makes it sound like, these little gray guys with the big, the eyes and everything. It's not that way at all. Me personally, again, I'll go back up a little bit. Scientists are saying now we were probably from Mars and through like the theory of panspermia or something like that. And if you really think about it, the way they describe it, they're saying that a lot of, your body's built for Mars. It's about 40-minute longer daytime. The gravity's less, so you wouldn't have all the kind of back problems, all kinds of issues we have, with the gravity pulling down on us, where the gravity's not that much on Mars. So they're just like little things that they're throwing out. And if you understand the theory of panspermia, again, if something should hit the planet, let's say a large rock should hit Mars, and of course you get a bunch of eject that go out in space, and it makes its way to Earth, which it has, absolutely has. In fact, there's another article here, something about a meteor or something of that sort. But if you get it from Mars and there's living organisms on it, of course microscopic, and it starts life here on Earth rather, then yeah, at some point we originated, or at least life has originated from Mars to here. It's not out of the question. And if my memory serves me well, Mars cooled before Earth did, so there was a good chance that there was life on that planet prior to here. Now, I don't know this for sure. I'm just saying that it could very well be, right? Drink to that. So to answer your question fully, like I said, I believe I've said this before, that we might have been a civilization that lived on both planets, like your question says here. Maybe we go back and forth. This might have happened thousands upon thousands of years ago. We still don't know how old mankind is. Every time they uncover something ancient, what happens? They find, it predates the Egyptians. It predates Bolbec. It predates, all of these ancient civilizations. They're literally digging up out of the ground. We're going more and more backwards. So in time. So in other words, we're older than we originally thought. So I'm not surprised in the least bit that we are, they were saying that we were like, first was, what was it? Something ridiculous. It was like 10,000 years old as far as man, intelligent man, that is. And then it was like, 100,000, 250,000. Now they're saying 500,000 years old. I think we don't have a clue about our future or our past because, well, more of our past, but we'll get to that. But, to me, we don't have a clue how old man is. And did we have civilization on both planets at one time? And we were going back and forth. Somehow there was a war on there, or something natural hit the planet. And what I mean by that is a giant body from outer space slammed Mars. And that, we were coexisting, two different planets, this one being younger, that we were going back and forth at one point, and it wiped that particular one out. Now we're trying to go back like a reconnaissance mission. And the reason why I come up with that is because just on the stuff that we see in these photos and we basically decipher, if you will, and pull apart, you can see things that are intelligently made on Mars. Now the question is it something, was there like a coexisting planets where you could do that at one point way back in the day and we just not aware of our past? So is it a possibility? I say yes. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. So, a lot of people will say too, all the UFOs we're seeing now, we're from the future coming back. Now, is that a possibility? is it possible there's different dimensions? Is it possible that, we coexist on another plane of existence? Very good possibility. A lot of people will say no, but do we really know if this is possible? Well, I think anybody that's into physics and everything else can probably answer that question. I don't think anything's out of the realm of possibility, as long as it's not too far-fetched, right? But just what we're seeing on the moon photos and what we're seeing on Mars, 1,000,000% we're not alone. And now, if you go by the equation, I think it's Drake equation, where, they do calculations, so on and so forth, that at this point, what we know in the universe, or what we can see in the universe, is, it's like, I forget how many planets that could be have life on it. So we'd have to be, you'd have to be insane and very close-minded to believe, oh, that's it, we're the end of be-all, what's here on Earth. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think there's much more going around us. I think our solar system was thriving with civilizations on each planet. And again, I said this before, people go, well, you can't live on a gaseous planet, or you can't live on something that's got methane or methane for you folks over in the UK. The thing is, we don't need to be out breathing the air. You can manufacture your own air. Like they're trying to change carbon, well, they have already changed carbon to oxygen on a very small scale from the Perseverance rover. They've done a test on there and were able to do it. So even if the planet was full of carbon, obviously you wouldn't be able to breathe, you'd die, it wouldn't take you very long to actually die from this. But if you were to convert it to oxygen, well, there's a plethora of this carbon on the planet. So convert it into oxygen, you can live in, basically structures of your own. So it doesn't matter the outside, whatever it may be, if it's hostile for the human being, whether it's, breathing, whatever it may be, we're fine. As long as you can make your own atmospherics, you're good. So you can live on any planet, and if it's super cold, somehow you can get, thermal from the center of that planet. Maybe there's still, volcanism going on where there's active volcanoes and there's flow and stuff like that, and they can harness that and heat the inside of these. Maybe it's a dome, a structure, whatever it may be. You don't have to be outside. You can still live on that planet. We have people over in Antarctica who live there year-round. If you were to live outside of it, you wouldn't live very long. Even bundle up, you wouldn't. But being in a shelter, you can do that. So you can adjust to your environment, and you'll be just fine. Cameron, what's going on? Good to see you. I'm doing fine, man. I hope you're doing well. Equalizer's in there. What's going on, Equalizer? I like that. If the food tastes better on Mars, I will send the mother-in-law there. You can do that. She may not be too happy about it, but yeah, you never know. Sky Blue, what's happening? He said, hi. Your question was, what do you think about SpaceX's latest test launch? I heard about it. I think it was a Starship, right? I couldn't tell you too much about it because I did not look into it. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't know. But I think, I don't care who does a launch. If you're trying to better mankind, quote unquote, if you're trying to better out and be more, you want to be spacefaring, you want to be, expand the human race into the solar system, I think it's a great idea. Now, you're going to have failures. When you talk about failures, you're going to have failures along the way. Rockets blowing up, stuff's not quite right the way they want it, so on and so forth. When there's people involved, you got to feel bad for that, of course. But then some people say, well, yeah, but you got to make way for progress. I get that. That's the reason why he's got the spacecraft that'll actually launch and then, land themselves. So it's a good thing because you get to test it without any human loss. So now that they're getting it down pat, okay, let's send people to the moon, which they're going to do soon. They're going to be going around the moon, orbiting, and then next step is going to be going to Mars. And I'm completely down with that. I think it's an awesome idea. I also agree with a lot of people who say, hey, what about Earth first? I mean, come on. And I totally agree. Too many homeless, too many this, too many that. But on the other side of the token, you also have to look on a grander scale. The grander scale is if another body should come here and it's the size of let's say, Texas. Goodbye. Good knowing you. Basically, the worst thing could ever happen and basically kill off 99, probably 95% of the people on the planet. Any living thing. Go into a nuclear winter, everything will die, nothing to eat. And that's pretty much it. And hopefully if you do make it out, somehow you're in some underground bunker and you're able to survive this, then you'll be restarting the population. So to me, I go, is it worth it to go out in space and expand, and get into, like, again, being spacefaring and get into other planets? Yes, absolutely. If you want the human race to live on, yeah, absolutely. Sprouksy, is that how you pronounce it? Am I right or wrong? I said, yo, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Enrico, I said hello to you as well. Alfie Joe Bob, what's happening? Good to have you in there. Hope you weren't around for the first disaster. Podcast. Richard Bond, you said, I like the buildings on the moon, the close-up. Yeah, absolutely. I got to try to bring up that other photo I've got. I won't be able to do it now because I need to find, I got it on a hard drive where it shows the astronaut, and I believe it was, I could be wrong, it might be Apollo 17 or 16. I could be wrong. I'm going to have to look back into it, but there was one area where it shows one astronaut taking a photo of the astronaut way in the background with a moon buggy. And when you pull all the lines out of that, suddenly there's like all kinds of these objects all around this astronaut. So he's not there just digging up soil. When you see what's around him, you go, good God, these guys are in the middle of something like structures or, whatever it may be. I'm going to call them spacecraft because, for lack of a better word, is it machines, structures, spacecraft, all of the above? I don't know. But when you look around, you see this little astronaut way off in the distance, and you can see all of these things all the way around behind this guy. So they're not up there just for that. There's much, much more on the moon. And, of course, if they hid that, then guess what? They're going to hide it on every single photo, whether it be Mars, an asteroid, comet, like the moon, of course, closest neighbor, so on and so forth. It's just going to happen. They're just not going to just divulge this. So it's almost like you have, or you and I have to just like read between the lines, right? It's ridiculous. Let's see. Miss Heard, you said if there were giants in our very ancient past, could they have been from Mars? Low gravity means beings would grow taller. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody here would be taller if you were on Mars. You were born on Mars. You wouldn't have anything, you'd just be able to, they say that you'd be like tall and spindly kind of thing. And like I said, our bodies are more attuned to Mars than we are than here on Earth. Makes more sense. Not to mention, I could use 40 more minutes sleep. What do you guys think? Valerian the Mac 3, what's happening? Mars is one-way trip now. Sounds good to me. Let's do this. Talking Surface Monkey said, we are not alone on the planet. They live, I'm sorry, in our oceans. Many reports of UAPs existing entering oceans. Sailors have reported fleets of lights moving underwater incredible speeds for hundreds of years. Our military has been in a cat and mouse game with our advanced underwater neighbors since the 50s. We've been brainwashed to believe they're visiting. We're not alone on this planet. Well, I mean, again, and it's a very good comment there, Surface Monkey. Now, here's the thing. We're only now starting to see more and more of this because everybody's got a freaking camera now, right? Well, got a camera. Everywhere you go, everybody's got one on a person now. So I believe you're right. They've been around all this time and much, much longer, I believe. How do we know we didn't start off as underwater and then became, surface dwellers? We don't know that. We have no idea. If you go by what we're taught, we're nothing more than just, Neanderthals that evolved or apes that evolved. I don't believe that. I think there's much more to it. Like a lot of scientists will argue that point to be like, okay, so, they'll say if we had come from apes, then why didn't they actually progress? Why are they still the way they are? Now, they have had some instances where they actually see monkeys now and apes and stuff like that starting to make little tools to break open food. Okay, we're still way ahead of the curve, way ahead. So as far as, brain mass and functionality and all that other stuff. So, I don't know. They make a great point. It's like, why, that we have progressed so far in brain evolution, so to speak, and they haven't. So I don't believe that. This is definitely a good answer, and we're just not aware of it. As far as our origins, Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I do appreciate your support as always. Thumbs up to you. Much love to you. And I was doing a high five thing. I'm going, what is that little thing next to him? That's cool. That is cool. Ricardo Petrozzi, you as well. Thank you very much for your support, as always. He said YouTube, Google, Inc. I have about Corp. Didn't get its cut, so messed with the stream. It wouldn't surprise me in the least bit, because every time you try to get onto this, there's always some kind of difficulty. And not always, because a lot of times just boom, boom, we're on. And then there's times where I've been out with other friends and we're showing these photos and everything else, and all of a sudden one of the computers just happened to go crazy. Like we were on 3 or 4 of us one time, and the thing was working perfect. All of a sudden, boom, everything would just go haywire. And, each one of us going, there's nothing wrong with my computer. I don't know what the deal is. And like I said, him and I were going back, Ricardo and I were going back and forth behind the scenes trying to get this thing to work. And it's like what worked for him didn't work for me, and vice versa. These things happen. It's going to happen. There's no way around it. So, but like I said, we'll iron it out next time. That's for sure. Oh, this thing just jumped on me here. Hold on. Let me see what I got here. Julian says, hey, space dudes and dudettes, what's happening? Andrew Munchkin. Go around the edge of the planet heading east. North is in the center. I guess this is a conversation you guys were having. Oh, this is one of those flat Earth conversations. Is that what this is? Russell Romig, he said, I'm beginning to think that the Phoenix flights, UFO, were early drone technology. Yeah, but that would have to be a really big drone, Russell. This thing was huge. And I remember seeing the Phoenix lights, and I don't remember, meaning I was there, but I remember seeing that, and they were really, really big. And, of course, they had independent lights that would come on, then it would just disappear, and that would be the end of it. So is it possible it was a display of multiple drones? Sure, it could be done. Of course, we're talking back, what, the 80s? I think it was. Was it the 70s, 80s? I think it was the 80s. But, it's a possibility. Keep in mind the military is probably like 100 years ahead of the public, if not more. Every time you take an object and you make it, let's say it's technology. It doesn't have to be something solid like a table or something, but you take technology, and then you advance it, and push the envelope. Next thing you know, these guys don't stop. It's like if you can build something like, remember folks that were into like land speed records, like the Blue Flame back in the 70s, I think it was. I think it was like it just broke the sound of the sound barrier. It was a little over 600 miles or whatever it was an hour. But regardless of that, there's always somebody trying to break it, do faster, go better, more aerodynamic, so on and so forth, less friction, blah, 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 blah. I mean, the list goes on. These people are not going to stop. If you have a technology, you're going to always try to improve on it. It's kind of like you in a simple level, like when you go, hey, honey, we got an older TV. Why don't we just upgrade to better technology? Now, you're not doing the technology. You're not building it, but you're getting something better, more efficient, more energy efficient, whatever it may be. The thing is, it's like these guys just keep pushing it and pushing it. So they're growing by leaps and bounds as far as technology. Now, if they have technology from the moon, meaning, why did that thing jump on that? That's crazy. Not that it matters. But if they've gotten any technology from the moon and incorporated here, in other words, reverse engineered, and I'm not just talking about UFOs, I'm talking about, like it could be just simple structures or whatever. They took them different metals, so on and so forth, and the technologies from, and then we took it, reverse engineer, and now we made it ours, like fiber optics, radar ovens, so, things like that. They were militarized first, and now they are what they are for the public years ago. So, yeah. Oliver Klein, what's going on? Good to see you. He said, good evening, all. Good evening to you. Talking Space Monkey said, ultra-terrestrial models, there are unidentified phenomenon interacting with the current human population on Earth. It is currently unknown whether the phenomenon is exclusively extraterrestrial. Well, and that's the thing. I've said this before, where if there's another race of people out there, and they could very well just live in our own solar system. If they're not, that's fine too. Exosolar system. I believe that they have the technology to come here anyway. Maybe, just maybe, it's not so much that more people are seeing them, but maybe they're going, hey, you know what? They're monitoring our broadcast, our technology, saying, well, now they're getting into technologically advancements where we can now visit them and see what they're really up to. Are they a threat, or are they trying to better themselves, or are they both? So they're coming here more, observing us. And, like you said, underwater cities. We don't know whether they're like deep in the oceans, where we can't see them, because they could be like inside of a cave. They come up and come back up inside of the crust itself, the upper crust. We don't know. It could be a giant cave tunnels and stuff like that in the cities on it. We wouldn't be able to see it because they're under rock. There's no way we'd be able to, our radars would be able to penetrate from space into that. Just too far deep into the ocean, and they're under rock. Not going to happen. We wouldn't know it. They'd be living right under our noses, wouldn't have a clue. Unless, of course, you see them coming out of the water and going into the water, then you kind of got a clue. And Spence, he said Phoenix lights were near a military base that looked like flares. Yeah, I mean, they could very well look like that, right? The problem with it is that when they had those things lit, like you're saying, like flares, they're up there and they're all in a row. Then, of course, you see them drop singly or different speeds, and then you see them go out. The problem with it is they stayed at the same altitude, and they would go out one by one, and then another one come on. And then that same one that went out earlier comes back on. So it's not like they're dropping. They're literally staying in formation, and they're coming and going. Now, is that a possibility that it could have been some kind of flares? Absolutely. We've seen that before. People have gotten fooled by it. So, right, I mean, it could very well be. Steve Garnham, what's happening? Good to see you in there. And this thing jumped at me. The Workout Artist Fitness and Motivation says, hey, everyone, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Alien Tenno's in there, too. What's going on, Alien Tenno? The sky phenomenons over the last 2 years are off the scale. Yeah, it seems like we're seeing more and more of it, right? So is the government playing that game where they said, ooh, there's going to be a fake invasion? Is that possible? We're seeing it now. Because, I mean, when you think invasion, it doesn't have to be an Independence Day, right? It could be just an invasion. We're seeing more and more of these things flying around the sky. The difference is, can we tell the difference between what's ours and what's not? That's the problem. And if you've seen some of these drones, the size of them, oh, they're the size of an SUV. I've seen some of these things that are huge. And I'm not talking military. I'm talking about what people can build. And knowing that they're trying to get their 5 minutes of fame, why not put all kinds of different lights on them, make them do kooky things with a touch of a button while the thing's in the air? We don't know. And again, if you take one of these things, a high performance, and I've seen the small drones, man, those things are flying, and I mean ripping through the sky. You can get this thing to do anything. Again, we see the military with these drones or these supposed UFOs, the Tic Tac UFO. Things boom, 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 changing all kinds of different directions. We're like, wow, what's going on? It's the same thing I've seen high-speed drones do. Now it looks like an actual capsule. Is there something we built that can do that? Again, if you're pushing the envelope way back in the day, 30s and 40s, and anti-gravitics, it would not surprise me if they perfected it. Not in the least bit. And I've said this before. I see a lot of people doing these either podcasts or videos about UFOs, but none of them hold any weight. Again, it's in the dark, so you don't know what it is. You just see these lights, and it's moving pretty quick. It hovers, it drops, it goes back up. Any drone can do that. When you see these, the military videos, it's night vision or infrared. Wait a minute. Can we see when it's crystal clear? You won't see it. I wouldn't waste my time. Now, there's a friend of mine that actually sees these things, these weird things up in the sky. The problem with it is it's so far away and he's trying to zoom in that you can't make heads or tails of it. Again, no good detail, so you don't know what the hell you're even looking at. That's the problem. Show me something with a bite to it. The only thing, and now, here's the other thing too, and I've said this before. People are talking about UFOs, going, oh my God, you don't understand the UFOs, man, these things are crazy. I have seen one back in the day when I was a kid. I was in my teens. There's no way whatever was on this tower that I saw, there was a tower in this big park that we had. It comes straight off that tower. There's no way you could drive on it. It's only by stairs, very narrow stairs to go up it. And this thing went from the top and flew directly off of this. There's no way, and this was back in the 80s, nobody I knew had a drone back then. And they were like a kind of a red and blue light, almost looked like a freaking police car, but they were alternating lights like this, it just took off, and that was the end of it. That's the only one I've ever seen. However, it's still unidentified. I don't know what it is. We went back up there the next day, and you can see what looks like 3 legs or 3 impressions in the ground, and it's tall grass. That's all we saw. Now, was it hoaxed? Very good possibility. I don't know that for sure. So, when you see these people going, yeah, I seen this, I seen that. Listen, I'm not impressed. I've seen what I've seen on the moon and on Mars. So if they are real and they're extraterrestrial, meaning not from this planet, then absolutely, they are the real deal. Does not surprise me. Marco Besta, what's going on? Good to see you in there, man. Said, evening all. Have everyone investigated the pulsating UFOs which swarm the broken tether from SDS-75? It looks awfully a lot like living identities or unknown species of some kind. Now, yeah, that's it was about it was extremely long. What was it, like some kind of 100-mile thing or some weird friggin' tether? But this thing was insane. It broke loose from the spacecraft. And what happened was the more you watch that thing, the longer you watch, you start to see these little things get into the picture with it. And then you see this very large one go underneath this tether, and they can judge how long this tether is, and they can see how wide this thing is. And they're going, what the hell are these? And there's a video on there showing this. It's like they just kind of converged on this tether, and then there's some going above and below it. So they're saying, well, maybe it's some kind of weird dust that's going in front of the camera lens. No, the tether's so far off that, and the idea of this thing's floating under it, you go, wait a minute, hold on. These things are huge, whatever they are, and they're right outside in outer space, right around our planet. This is the reason why I think a lot of times when you see like outer space, like you see like the space station, you never see any really lights out there. Why? Well, the planet's pretty darn big to begin with, but it's like you don't. Well, you got the light coming off of Earth, meaning the sun shining and so on and so forth, right? So it's reflecting off the planet, so to speak, and you don't see anything else outside of it. In other words, you don't see any stars and everything else unless they kind of veer away from the planet where the light drops from the planet, and of course you get, you see the stars. But you'll never see anything of any value. Why? But every now and then they'll cut the feed because something just happens to get into frame. Oh, wait a minute, no, space junk. Yeah, bull. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are, things like that, of course, because there's a bunch of it out there. But is that all there is to it? Ricardo's, how to prove a flat earther wrong. The sun go around the earth, ergo, not flat, round. We don't even entertain that stuff, guys. You know, I'm sorry if you're into flat earth. If anybody's in there, sorry, we don't entertain that silly idea. And this thing just jumped on me again. Let me see. I want to go right back. There was one I was just looking at. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Yeah, later in the Mag 3. The invasion thing, laughing about that. Equalizer, he said, have you seen UFOs over Vegas? He videos the mountains towards Area 51 with night vision and infrared, and it's amazing what you can see. Yeah. First of all, you have a reference, right? Because you have Area 51, and you have the mountains behind it. So that is pretty cool because you can get like a size. You can get some kind of idea because you go, okay, well, the base is so long. Okay, runways on the base. Okay, so on and so forth. And you can see these things coming from the mountains and back down in the mountains. So do we know if that's UFOs or something that's military? Again, we can't tell the difference. And if they have the technology they have, you can bet that if they want to make this weird invasion thing happen, well, they can do that. Because it's technology you and I probably haven't seen. You know, so, you know, show me something in the daylight with good, you know, vision. All right, let's see. Oliver Klein says Foo Fighters. Absolutely. That's what they call them. Ricardo, you said Skydio built pretty large drones for industrial survey and also broadcast TV purposes. Absolutely. Yes, they have. Philosophy and science book reader, what's happening? He said, hi. Yeah, misheard. They were talking about it as well, too. And they're saying the Foo Fighters spotted by pilots in the cruise during WWII or World War II. Wonder what that was about. Well, here's the thing. Think about the time during that war. These things were following these planes, these prop planes. And did we have technology back then even? Because keep in mind, we're well ahead. The military is well ahead of what we would understand. So is it possible that it was ours, or it was some beings from either off or on this planet that is basically trying to scare the crap out of them so they'd stop the war? I don't know. Because if that was the case, they'd be still trying to do that. And being that we're extra friendly human beings and that we're so good to each other, couldn't possibly want to stop us from doing that. So to me, it just seems like, is it possible, again, it was another civilization trying to put the scare into us going, oh, wow, these things that are following us are like making us look like we're standing still and they're zipping around these planes. That would freak any pilot out, going, yeah, we got the latest technology in planes. All of a sudden this thing's going, and it's dancing all over the place, and you're going, how the hell is this thing possible? What is that? Freaks them out. So, I don't know. Mimi reactions at my in-laws' neighbor spotted drones over a field releasing fluids. He contacted the police, and after that, an unknown black car was seen in the neighborhood for a few days. See, that's pretty interesting. Philosophy of Science book reader said, Chris, you are right. We need to apply science, evidence to everything in order to judge if UFOs are extraterrestrial or not. And yeah, I mean, you can't just automatically take it and go, yes, it's UFO. We don't know that. Again, I've seen drones the size of SUVs, if not bigger, and they're putting these things in the skies. And if it's at night, again, why aren't you flying this thing during the day? Because people would be able to peg what it is right off the bat. Now, don't get me wrong. if it's high enough in the sky, you're not going to hear this thing buzzing. If you've ever heard the small ones, they're loud. I mean, they're pretty darn loud. What, the DJ2s or whatever they call them? Those things are like insanely loud. My buddy had his up as far as that thing can fly and top down. You can still hear that thing, like buzzing around like an angry hornet. It's just like, it's crazy, right? So you can imagine something with much bigger props, unless, even if it's jet propulsion, or again, if it's the military doing it, it's anti-gravitics, you wouldn't hear a thing. But if you were close enough, this is the reason why we see these things way off in the distance, way up, and they're in, and if they're in like a desert with no sound, you'd probably hear the props going. If you're in the city, you probably wouldn't pay no mind to it. You wouldn't even hear the sound. This is the kind of things you need to pay attention to when you're seeing these things. Okay, is it that? Is it this? Well, there's a bunch of cars going by. We can't hear the props. It could be very well be a drone. What somebody put like special placed lights on this thing to make it look like it's some kind of UFO, and they can just turn it on and off and change different colors at will. We don't know that. Or it is actually something extraterrestrial or something that lives on this planet with us. We don't know. So until somebody shows me real proof, I just don't really dabble in it too much. Don't get me wrong. I believe they are here, and I believe they are visiting, and they've been doing it for, hundreds and thousands of years. So that's nothing. But when I see these goofy little videos, and again, infrared, and some of them like we were talking about earlier over Area 51, you can gauge size, and it appears to be real. Again, but are we seeing a drone, or are we seeing actual UFOs? That's the question, right? Philosophy of Science book a reader. That's why I think that many of these videos of the third phase of the moon channel are balloons and drones. And that's a good possibility, because a lot of people have been duped with that, right? Now, is it possible they're catching real stuff? I do think so. But here's the thing. What if our government's messing with us? Again, they would never do that, but let's suppose they are. Here's the thing. It's kind of like what we do here on this channel. A lot of people said, hey, Chris, are you ever afraid of like the Men in Black or anything? I said, no, they're using us like a pawn, man. I mean, think about it. I'm showing things in these photos, and I'm saying, listen, this is not natural. This appears to be intelligently made. Other people on the other side, oh, BS, blah, 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 blah. So you constantly be at each other, and nothing will ever come out of it unless somebody of really importance happens to lay their eyes on the videos, or somebody else is doing the same work on their videos. So they don't consider us a threat, meaning people that do this stuff. And the idea is that what if, again, being used as pawns, that more and more people see these videos, say, okay, there is stuff on the moon, there is stuff on Mars. Why are they going after these meteors or asteroids or whatever they may be? Why are they doing this? And we're seeing weird things on those. Oh, wait a minute. People get desensitized, and then, guess what? When the real deal happens, people are going, oh, I kind of knew that was real. Oh, they said there's something on the moon? Somebody found something? I already seen that years ago. They're not freaked out like they were back in the 50s and 60s of the radio version of the War of the Worlds, where people were literally jumping off buildings and killing themselves thinking they were actually being invaded. So now people will be desensitized to it. At least, no, I wouldn't say majority, but let's say quarter to maybe half by the time it actually happens. Well, then not too many people are going to be freaked out about it. They pass the word, oh, I believe this is real, blah, 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 blah. So they're not freaked out. So they're using us as pawns, like I said. So this is the reason why you won't see that. You won't see these weird Men in Black things and these vans and stuff like that. You won't see that. A good comment there. Simply Steve 68. You said I don't entertain thoughts of flat Earth nor elevation. I'll be all right. Evolution. So no one can convince my mind otherwise. I've taken trips from the northern to the southern hemispheres, and the stars show the distance. There you go. Oh, thing jumped on me. What's going on there, Mr. Nick Mad? A Nike? Well, you can have Nikes on too. Nick Mad. He said, great channel, Chris. Thanks. I appreciate you there, Nick. Heck, how long have you been around, Nick? I mean, he's been around a long time, as long as I can remember on the channel. So he's been subbed to me for quite a long time, and I appreciate that, Nick. Sharpie, what's happening? Good to see you in there. This is Jean Ward's in there. Hello, everyone. Jean and Michelle here, just popping in to say hi. Well, hello. Good to have you guys in there. And watched the last video. Good video, by the way. And, good to have you in there. And it's a good thing you weren't in the first time. I don't think you popped in there the first time because that was a complete disaster. But we got it straightened out now, and we'll definitely get it straightened out again. But a good video last time. The last one, it was pretty good. I like that. You can't tell me those things are not, it's all natural, what you show there. And there's no way. It's just awesome to see a satellite view of a lot of these things, as well as you're now doing some of the ground ones too. But the satellite ones, to me, those are just structures. And again, I've done one where you can zoom in and actually see what looks like it's been overlaid, almost like a digitalization kind of thing going over these things. And you can just see the way it's not sharp. It's just like, it's almost like an airbrush, if you will, only digitally done. And you can just see that. I think what we're seeing is structures have been tossed and turned and thrown about, and you're actually seeing that in a lot of those satellite photos. Now, a lot of those rocks and different sands, yes, but I believe it's what you're seeing there is actually structures. There's no way you can have something that looks natural with the stuff you show. Not going to happen. Flux capacitor, what's going on? You said, hi all, driving home from work. Sharpie, you said, Chris, how's your job? How have you been doing the last few vids? Great. You're loved by us all. Old Bean. I like that. Yeah, good. Still waiting for the other place to open up, and that's going to be psychotic. But until then, I'm going to be getting these things out. Les Sweet, what's happening? Good to see you in there. So flat Earth is as silly as concave Mars or concave Sun. It's not? Oh, man. I've been duped. Oh, let's see. So we'll attempt to do this again. But anyway, China just became the second country to drive a rover on the surface of Mars. Now, again, this goes back to 2021. And now they had one in 2022. They were talking about how, Mars might have been or had an ocean much longer than they thought. That's basically what they're saying. Now, let me see here. See if this will play. I don't think we had any problem with it playing, but let's see. I don't know if I want to use. Gotta love these ads. Got to love it. Okay. But you can actually see they're in orbit, but it's centered out, folks. It's whited out. Garbage. I hate that. And you'll see what I mean, because some of you had seen this earlier, and some of you have not. Oh, brand. Oh.
He also put a probe into Mars. You are looking at brand new pictures of Mars taken by a Chinese probe that entered orbit around the red planet this week. It is getting crowded up there. A US probe expected to land on Mars next week, and the UAE also put a probe into Mars orbit on Tuesday. Well, in addition to taking pictures from orbit, the Chinese probe includes a lander and rover that will descend to the surface of Mars in May or June. Well, the Chinese spacecraft is named Tianwen, which translates to questions to heaven.
All right, so we've got China, Russia, United States, UAP. What else we got? What other countries we got up there so far? And if they're not there, they've had a part in sending something there. Why? It's nothing there to see, folks. It's a dried up dead planet. Just got rocks. That's all it is. So everybody's spending billions upon billions of dollars testing the whole 9 yards to get to where? Mars. For what reason? There's nothing there to see. Now, don't get me wrong. They want to put their technology to the test and see if they can actually get up there themselves. I get it. But, yeah, I mean, one of the videos I'm going to be doing, and I even said this, I showed it earlier, but because I had to restart the computer, I lost one of the photos. But I'll get that back. That's not a big deal. But they're doing the same thing, folks. Look at this. Again, it's either black or white or completely orangey, crappy color. Now, this is easy to do. All you got to do is superimpose the lander onto this ground. And, of course, they already made it orangey, reddish, whatever they want to. And then just superimpose it. Or it is the actual photo. And it's still the colors of the... I've done this with even with the Curiosity rover, where you can literally see black wheels, but because it's not... The whole photo's been done orange over it. That's the crazy part. So now the black wheels kind of look like orangey. But as soon as you put it into Photoshop and do autocorrect by itself, the way it sees it, the wheels are now completely black, and the ground is not orange like it shows, what you're seeing here. And again, we had the InSight lander. What did it do? We talked about this before, where we've had seen the very first landed. It did its own systems check, turned on the camera, and of course they had this spotted filter. I think that was a filter. It was not on the lens. And you could see blue sky. Blue sky. Even the people in there, oh my God, it looks blue. Look at that. Oh my God. It wasn't, I don't think it was 20 seconds, 30 seconds later. All of a sudden, all orange sky. The ground was orange. Wait a minute. What is going on here? So right off the bat, they gave it away. They screwed up royally, as far as I'm concerned. And there you go. We already know. Even the Viking lander photo showed blue sky. China's Zhurong rover left its landing platform and drove on the surface of Mars on Saturday, state media reported, making the country only the second after the U.S. to land and operate a rover on the red planet. The six-wheeled, solar-powered rover, which weighs about 240 kilograms or 529 pounds, touched down on Mars on May 15th. Its mission is intended to last 3 months, the Chinese government said, during which time it will search for, get this, signs of evidence of ancient life on Mars' surface. Wait a minute. Didn't United States do this back in 1970s with the Viking landers and orbiters and all that? But now they're up there. So two things are going through my mind. Either one, BS, or two, they're just curious themselves and they want to find out, well, they've done testing. Let's do this too. We don't know. So, and again, once I show you the photo, the video that I had done, you're going to see what I'm talking about. You're going to be like, what is going on here? Why do they insist on making this planet red when it's not? Does it have this rusty color, sand flying in the air? Yes, absolutely. During dust storms. That doesn't mean it always has a storm there. So from a distance, we see almost, like I said, if you were to look at Earth from Mars, it's a blue ball. Why? We have a lot of water on this planet. You look over there, it's mostly what? It's all sand. It's ground, so it looks brown. That doesn't mean that some of them areas are not, it doesn't have like growth, plants and stuff like that. Doesn't mean that it does not have that. So from a distance, we see that planet, and of course, it's supposed to have like virtually almost no atmosphere, so that has a lot to play in it. But you get the idea. You'll see that from a distance. You'll go, it's a red planet. It's not. It doesn't mean the whole planet is completely void of water, and I mean like lakes and stuff like that. If you go back to these much older photos from the 70s, like Richard Hoagland shows and people of that sort show like these lakes, what look like almost like trees around them. So they're out there. You just have to find them. And they still want you to believe they're still looking for life on this planet or past life. Please. John Wall, you said, I checked the video, Chris. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad I was able to help you out a little bit too there, which I don't have a problem with. Like I said, there's a lot of lines and a lot of things they're covering up. And John, you got to keep this in mind. If they're just blocking out things on the surface, like in other words, we're seeing stuff from landers or the rovers and stuff like that, why would they not hide anything from, why would they not hide anything from a satellite photo? Oh, I guarantee it. Almost guarantee it. 100%. And they can see that, you're talking about a 4-foot swath of ground. They can just, with great detail on that ground. So what they're seeing is crystal clear. Absolutely crystal clear. And when you zoom into a lot of those photos, you can see where it looks like they put this white over it, and it's not perfect. It's just on there. Now, don't get me wrong, you will have compression artifacts, so on and so forth. But just back out enough so you don't really see them that much, but yet you can see what they've done to the photo. It's ridiculous. Claire Mead, what's happening? He said, hi, Chris and all. Good to have you in there, Claire. I don't know, Ricardo. He said, it's Utopia Planitia, a social communist place. Let's hope that's not even an issue, period. But you know how that goes. Gordon Balzar, he said, there's obviously a race, but race for what? That's the question. There also seems to be a consensus on keeping things obfuscated. Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's military-wise, meaning the DOD is actually pulling strings, telling them what they can show and what they cannot. Obviously, they're not going to show any technology. And maybe this is the reason why. How do we know inadvertently we didn't have a part to play in this? Meaning Jean, myself, Will from What's Up in the Sky, the real Jimmy Roberts. The list goes on. How do we know, as silly as this may sound, that a lot of these countries weren't watching this stuff themselves and saying, listen, even if these guys that are doing these silly little YouTube videos, how do we know what's there is not actually what's actually there? In other words, is the United States hiding this stuff? Why don't we go up there? What do we got to lose? And we can show our superiority by getting our technology to get up there too, kill two birds with one stone. So why don't we do it ourselves? What do we got to lose? Well, millions of dollars. But I mean, as far as like once you get there, what's the information and the photos and anything you can like get close up on and like get great detail on? What is that worth to them? Much more than what they spent to get to that mission to get to that planet. Think about it. This thing just jumped on me here. Come on. Yep, plus capacity. Yep, red filters. Rob Bob, I like that. An old alien said people taste like pork chops. Wouldn't it be just regular chicken? Sharpie, you're saying, Chris, what's your view on that? And I think you're talking because you were just saying the 50s rule. Let me see. Hold on. This thing just jumped on me here. I think you're talking about the Brookings report, aren't you? My view on it is, like I said, if you think about it, it came out in what, 61, 62? You guys can correct me if you're in the know on that. If that's true, they made that. Then not what? Late 60s, and even sooner, but let's call it just late 60s. We had these first Apollo missions, and of course, Apollo 11 was the first one to actually touch down and on the moon. So they weren't going to reveal anything. It was like it's like they're already hinting that they were going to block this stuff out. Well, we can't have, basically the question asked, how would people react if they knew there was alien life? I mean, of course, there's more to it, but that's pretty much the gist. So, again, if we were to go back to the original radio version of the War of the Worlds, they've already set people up to be freaked out. Think about it. So it makes you wonder if they weren't working hand in hand, you know, when they basically made this radio broadcast. Is it possible is just to get people like freaked out just because the first thing they think of is, you know, when you see that, well, you hear that, and you see Independence Day. I mean, they don't sound like very good, friendly, you know, aliens. And then you see Contact, Jodie Foster, and how she goes and visits the aliens, so to speak, where they're in the like of her dad, and so she won't be freaked out. But he's basically saying in that movie that the alien was saying, "You guys are not ready. You know, we've been traveling like this for billions of years or whatever, how many years." And, you know, at some point, they're basically saying, when you people grow up, we'll come back and we'll talk to you. So there's messages in these movies, okay? But I don't know. There could be many reasons. I think the major reason for hiding most of this is because simply, one, they thought people can't deal with it, and two, it's military as far as, you know, what they want people to see, or other countries, period. Joe Blow 1819 says, hello, Chris, Miss Heard, Limey, and Josh, folks. What's going on there, Joe Blow? Good to see you there. Been a while, I think. Appreciate it there, Paul Dack. He said, this is my dude right here. Love everything Chris puts out. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Oh, there I am. Okay, so let me see. See, we're talking about here again. China's rover makes surprising, you know, discovery on the landing site, and of course, you guys remember this little flower formation right here. Let's see if we can't bring that up. Right here. They got this here. It's supposed to be that smiley face. You can see the two, you know, basically craters and this wear on here. But there is a decade of exploration. Of course, I'm not even going to show that, right? First thing I'm going to show. But anyway, you can see it right here. I don't know if it'll come up. No, it's just going to show that article. Okay. So, don't care. Again, TON, whatever, 1, Zhurong rover finds evidence of water at low latitudes, on modern Mars. Now, they were saying that they believe that, again, Mars was much wetter and had more water, liquid water, longer than they initially thought. Well, yeah. First of all, you're not on the ground. You're going by robots and machines to try to get this information for you. So I kind of get that. You know what I mean? You don't have boots on the ground, so you can't be too precise. But they're starting to see more and more of this, and I think they're just kind of guiding the public to slowly go into this. Oh, yeah, there was life. And like I said, at some point, don't know when, but they will show like a small plant. And I mean a good plant that you know, and they actually consider it, and they say this is a plant, not some flower-like rock or something. They actually say this is a plant. It's indigenous to Mars. Here you go. It'll be a question of time when they finally talk about that, and then it'll slowly build up. So at some point, what is it, 2030s? Maybe mid-2030s, something like that. They want to go to Mars and everything else. Okay, fair enough. It's like they're slowly building everybody up, so when they finally get there, they'll go, oh, my God. You know, we never seen this before. We went into a landing area, and there was actually a civilization there. And we seen these old structures, so there was life here. It doesn't matter at that point. Why? Because we conquered Mars. In other words, we landed on it ourselves. So, in other words, the technology or the civilization that was there, we're like, it looked meh, no big deal. That's what I think. Because we're going to show our superiority by actually landing boots on Mars. So they're going to be like, well, that was kind of cute that there was actually some beings living here at one time, but push it aside. Oh, we're building on new structures and everything else. So what we're building here is this spectacular. And people will be more like, oh, that's cool, but man, look at the building on Mars now. It'll be just, they'll just segue and kind of smooth it out, show you, and then off it'll go. I think that's what I think will happen. Let me see. Oh, okay, it jumped on me here. Let me go back down. Oops. Alien Tenno, he said, I believe in everybody here feels we should be so much more than what we are. Our evolution is being stifled. Well, no, you're right. But why is it? Politics? Shutting down technology? Well, here's a perfect example. We had electric cars back in 1890s, okay? Roughly around there. So it's not new technology, although the advancements in electric motors and batteries and capacities and all that are definitely, right? You look at the old ones, I mean, they had charging stations and everything. A bunch of these cars sitting in a building being charged up. Let me see. I do, Ricardo. He just sent me something. Said, do you see this? And I think it's the one I think it is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Chinese rover Zhurong finds liquid water on Mars. Yep. And, of course, this is back in 2021. See, and I'll read the article, a little bit of it. On May 15, 2021, the Zhurong rover, part of China's Tianwen 1 exploration mission, landed on Mars, named after a Chinese mythological figure generally associated with fire and light. Okay, so let's see. So they were saying, let's go. They're looking for biosignatures. It's powered by, we'll go backwards here. It is powered by solar panels. It has scientific devices on board to make measurements, and its objective is to search for biomolecules and biosignatures. Let's go. Life or traces of life on the red planet. But what he has found for now is almost as important, liquid water. According to the new studies, has found evidence of water on the surface of the dunes. Interesting. I want to be on the dunes. I think it'll be at the base of them. This is quite extraordinary since previous studies had provided testing a large amount of liquid water on early Mars, but changes in the early Martian atmosphere during the last period caused a drastic change in climate. Very low pressure water vapor content make it difficult for liquid water to sustainably exist on Mars. Well, that's what we thought. The scientific belief was that under these conditions, water can only exist there in a solid or gaseous form. However, the droplets observed on the rover robotic arm proved that salty liquid water can appear in summer at today's high latitudes on Mars. And we're talking about brine, right? Highly salted content. Let me see. Numerical simulations have also shown that weather conditions suitable for liquid water may briefly occur in certain areas on Mars today. However, until now, no evidence has shown the presence of liquid water in low latitudes on Mars. The study authors uses data from the navigational and terrain cameras, NATE cam, the multispectral camera, and the Mars surface composition detector aboard the rover to study surface features at different scales. Does that mean there could be life? They found some important morphological features on the dune surfaces with an age of 1.4 million years, such as cracks, granulation, polygonal ridges, and fringe-like trail. Analysis of the spectral data revealed that the surface layer of the dune is rich in hydrated sulfates, iron oxide minerals, and possibly chlorides. A landscape very similar to the one we see when the sea recedes and the heat leaves traces in the sand and dries very quickly. So yeah, I mean, we deduced that there's dune surfaces features were related to presence of liquid saline water formed by the melting of frost snow falling from the dune surfaces. Okay, so I would think, if anything, though, you would see more. Oh, thanks for that, Ricardo. You would see more of this on the base. And you can see a lot of these photos, right? I've seen and showed a lot of these photos where you see what looks like, water coming down these hills and so on and so forth. Oh, that's good, Steve. He said, Chris, me and Sharpie are talking about... Okay. Sharpie says, Chris, Close Encounters of the Third Kind was the first event to acknowledge life off Earth. Well, yeah, absolutely. Macduff is in there, too. Howdy, Woody from Glasgow, Scotland. What's going on there, Macduff? Good to see you in there. I'm not sure. I know who you're talking about. Simply Steve. You said, Chris, what's your take on Tommy Tacoma's work with blocky out of focus pics, stating that they're buildings and cities? Well, first of all, anything that's compression artifacts, which mostly it is, and you'll see me try to blur these up so I can tell the difference between that's a compression artifact because you smooth it out. But every time we look at something that looks like an artifact, a compression artifact, and people told me this, they go, well, you don't see that now, but before they say that's compression artifact. Back in the day that was, but now like when we took a look at, the last video, we can zoom in and you can see what looks like compression artifacts, but it's not. If compression artifacts were on the photo, they'd be the whole photo from left, right, top, bottom. It would not matter, and yet we don't see that. We see squares with blur in certain areas, and the rest have detail. Now, whether the detail is really good or not is immaterial. It's the idea is you can see blocky blurriness in certain areas, okay? You can bring out things. If it's not dense blur, you can bring out some of that detail. However, you will not be able to bring it all out. There's no way you're going to do it. Now, there's some things you can, like when I did that whited out area, it looked like a giant structure or a city. You can see the outline and parts of that whited area, but you can also see the blur squares on top of that area. So they're blocking out things that are sitting on there. In other words, they made it more dense so you can't see what's sitting there. So at least that's the way I see it. If it was compression artifacts, again, it would not be like void in some areas and some of it's completely dense or a lot more dense. That's not. That's something they're putting there. Now, are there photos that are very small size and you zoom into them and they're pixelate and compression artifact? Yes, but you can tell the difference on those. They'll be, like I said, top to bottom, side to side. There won't be a spot missing of compression artifacts. It doesn't work that way. A camera doesn't get choosy and go, I think I'm going to put some compression artifacts in here because they're compressed. You know what I mean? We'll just do it here, but clear it up on this phone. It just doesn't work that way. So you can tell the difference if you're observant, right? Maybe relax. Please show the cat. Now, Ricardo and I were talking about this. This one I told him we were going to go over this. Scientists discover a chunk of an ancient protoplanet in Africa, and it is older than Earth itself. Okay? Which is pretty interesting. Said the rock asteroid was discovered in Czech Sand Sea in May and was immediately recognized as remarkable because, unlike other meteorites, it has obviously been created by a volcano, suggesting that it may have been part of a planet's crust. However, an examination of the radioactivity decay of the sample's isotopes revealed, as detailed in the recent report published by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, that it originated roughly 4.5, a little over 4.5 billion years ago. Since it is a little longer than Earth's age, it was presumably formerly a part of another possibly existing globe. What protoplanet the asteroid may have come from is not immediately apparent. However, the researchers noted in their report that as it is now the oldest magmatic rock yet found, it will also certainly be subject to much future examination, and what researchers discovered from examining old fragment can provide fresh information about the past of our solar system. Now, that's interesting because, like I said, we found small meteorites from Mars. And how can they tell? Because when they've done analysis from like the lander, and they've seen the composition of these rocks in the sand or whatever else, because it did dig, and seen permafrost underneath. So they can see how the composition of those rocks and the soil or whatever it may be, and they can match it with the meteorite that they found. Now, funny enough, if it's the one I think it is, they actually saw what looked like, microbial life or like fossilized microbial life on it. And of course, there was a heavy debate on that with scientists. No, there wasn't, And again, like the landers analysis, they claimed, oh, wow, we actually found building blocks of life back then. And of course, there was an argument back and forth with scientists. Some say absolutely it was, and some say bull. I think they did find it. And it doesn't take them this long to figure this out. The technology that's on these rovers are insane, okay? They got spectral analyzers. They got all kinds of stuff to analyzed the soil and just can't quite get it. Yet, back in the day, they were doing this in 76. I can almost promise you they're long overdue. Well, the second that darn thing landed on the ground and decided to open up the camera and open up its eyes and have a look, they seen structures what look like, whether it be completely intact or dilapidated, it doesn't matter. They seen what looked like something that was not natural, kind of like they did on the moon, and they said, send something there. We got to find it. We got to get closer to it and find out what it is. Simple as that. And that's what we're seeing. Rover after lander after lander after rover, so on and so forth. They're seeing more and more of this. And there's no reason to have all of these countries going. Again, I get the idea of, try to show their superiority and that they're capable, and I give them props for that. But to me, I'm going, okay, so either A, I don't trust the United States. Well, why wouldn't they? Why would they? But again, are they judging their own photo analysis? They're doing their own. Maybe they looked at somebody else's videos and, wait a minute, how is this guy seeing this crap? Why don't we tear these photos apart ourselves? And went, oh, okay. And this is the reason why they're going there, for that reason too. I don't know. Sharpie, I appreciate that. I really do. You say, hey, Chris, thanks for getting me through COVID and lockdown and real sense of life after this. Your channel is more than a profit box. We're all grateful for your efforts. Stay with us. I appreciate that. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, it was weird in that time too, right? So it's like, you're one big family anyway, so you kind of like, everybody's saying, yeah, with all of this crap going on, I got to be locked in the house, so it's good to have an out. And I agree. I totally agree, because it was the same way for me. Be able to talk with you guys and get away from all this BS you're hearing on the TV and all this crap. You just go, let's just talk amongst ourselves and talk about topics we enjoy, right? Tony Brooks, she said, China rover landed at 19.5. Jade Rabbit's first picture was curved dome structure and pyramid structure. Yeah, I've seen where, let me try to think here. If you're talking about the Chang'e 3 and the Chang'e 4, or Chang 4, depending on how you pronounce it, there's a lot of stuff in them photos. I think the Chang 3, or Chang'e, depending on how you want to pronounce that, it was a complete disaster. I mean, the photos, I pulled them apart the first time. There was a couple of them that they let slip, and we were able to really rip these things apart. And I found it really interesting because there was a lot of cool stuff in it. Then they went total blur. I mean, blurred out everything. You couldn't see anything if you tried. You might get a couple little pieces of information through the picture, but that was it. It was complete garbage. I'm going, you're telling me, again, best technology you can buy, and then some, top-notch cameras, probably 8K, more than that at this point. Again, and it's so much smaller, right? You don't have to have this huge, basically they have to have their own video card and everything. Best of the best, camera lens, the whole 9 yards, and you can come up with nothing but a blurry picture? Please. I don't know why they play the public like they're complete morons, and they're not. Absolutely not. People are not stupid. They, the ones that want to take the time and check this stuff out, they're going to go, why are they playing these games? When you can clearly see that they are, but they're not going to show you. Even if you got a couple small pieces of something that's in the background, they're going, well, as long as they don't get the whole thing, who gives a darn? Well, I do. And like I said, I'm going to show that next video. And of course, the thing messed me up when I restarted the computer, so it messed up my Photoshop. But what I mean by that is it still works. It's just that everything I had saved in there is basically wherever I left it. So if I had a fully enhancement, it'll go back to the fully enhancement. But I've already done the video, just have to edit it. So I'm like, okay, thank God for that. But I had other stuff in there too, which I'm not going to worry about it. We'll still get this information out to you. And it's like they're no better than every other space program that's been there. India's mom satellite. The first time they sent, oh, look at, we have a full, almost full. I think it was like, what, half? Maybe 3/4 of Mars they had in the picture. And again, all I did was just go auto tone, auto contrast, auto color. Didn't have to do a thing to it. Boom. It showed all the colors like you would see here on Earth. Not quite as much, of course, but you can see some of them colors, and you can see what looks like an atmosphere. Funny thing about it is, like I said, the what you could see of the actual orbiter never changed color. Their insignia, it changed from like a blue to a slightly darker blue. It did not change colors. However, Mars changed greatly. Why is that? Why? Because Photoshop sees it for what it really is, and the other things we're not fooled with had no problem noticing what it is. In other words, the colors pretty much stayed the same within reason. Nothing really went from like a blue to an orange. It was just like a slightly different darkness or brightness of the blue. That's all it was. And I did a video on that. It's crazy just how much is, they're messing with the public. Alien Teddy said, if there's water, there's life. Well, they say that, and I believe that too. Silverback 74, you're not the first one to ask this. And, you said, you think the rover is really on Mars. I saw this thing making rounds in Canada, taking pictures of rainbows and clouds. Now, if you just look at testing ground sites or testing sites for rovers, just look it up. They're in Greenland. They're in different parts of the world. It's not even a secret. Some people say, oh, yeah, it's in Greenland or somewhere other place that, they're full of crap. And listen, if you want to believe that, that's fine. That's your prerogative. Here's the problem. Research it first, okay? It's not a secret that they're in all of these other places because they want to put them through harsh temperatures, different landscapes. Now, they do have their own testing yard, the one in California, I believe it is, where they do have a testing yard, and you can see this thing going over these large boulders and everything else. So it's not a secret. They're going, oh, you don't get it. You can see these little rovers with NASA on them and these trucks. And yes, it's not a secret. It's out there for the public to see. It's testing grounds. Just read up on it. You'll see what I'm talking about. Mr. Mike Knapp, what's going on? Good to see you. And hi, everyone. Just popped in to say, hey, can't stay gutted. I hope you all have a good one. Yeah, definitely will, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you popping in there, Mike. Richard Bunt, yeah, I mean, simply put, you said if we're on this planet, then they're on other planets there out there. Yeah, absolutely. I know what you guys are saying. Joe Blow, I get what you're saying. Yeah, we'll just leave that out. Joe Blow, going back and forth on this herd, yeah, that's funny. Okay, that channel's name is Tommy Tacoma. Okay, I got you. I'm going to jump way down here because this thing, I was trying to go as fast as I could on this. I'm not sure exactly. Tim Houston, I'm glad you're in there. You said, so we can land stuff on Mars, but screw up big time with the moon. I wouldn't say we screwed up because if you think about it, we had how many missions to the moon where we landed on and everything else. Now, we did have issues with, I think it was Apollo 8 through 10. There was some mishap. I think it was on 8 where they had that fire. Was it on 8, guys, or was it on 10? So Apollo 11 was the first one to land there. Now, there's always going to be some kind of issues. Most of it, if you think about it, was with equipment. And it was very, Jesus, it was, what's the word I'm looking for? Non-technologically, however, it was. it was supposed to, I think it was 11, where they were supposed to have auto land, and of course something went stupid. So they had to do it manually. They landed the lander manually. And basically they got like these buttons that are, and, you know, momentary switches, just switches on and off to just yar and roll and, you know, pitch and everything else to get this thing to land where they wanted to. So they didn't, it's not like it didn't have any issues, but they did do it. The technology now is so much better, so they can do things much more easily. And keep in mind, we're not sending man. You had to set these machines up, meaning landers, rockets, whatever it may be, to have human beings in them. Where these, they failed. They've done, you know, how many times, like the shuttle had failed more than once. They had rockets lifting off. Look on, Google this, missions to Mars, and watch how far it goes back. There was, I don't know how many Soviet Union attempts that tried to blow up on the launch pad. You know, took off, went into orbit, never heard it again. And then there's some of them that did make it. This has been going on for years. This has been going on in the 50s and 60s, trying to go to Mars. This isn't anything new. So you do this, and you attempt it, and you attempt, and you attempt. Well, got a failure. You attempt. You have another failure, so on, until you finally perfect it. So when you say that, you know, you're going to have issues at some point. Now, they did actually succeed. Would they have 6, 7 missions? You know, so they did succeed. Now, did they have mishaps and little problems? Sure. But again, we're talking about human beings. The first time, when they first landed on Apollo 11, of course, it's all new to them. Well, within reason. In other words, because they had people on, you know, orbiting, like in Apollo 10, trying to find these, they were mapping it out, taking pictures, so on and so forth. And then, of course, they were looking for a landing site. So they pretty much knew what they needed to do and where to land and everything else. Now, they might have miscalculated. This is the reason why I went from automatic landing to manual, overshot the site. So they had to manually land this thing. So it's not like it didn't have any problems, but they still succeeded. Now, right now, they don't have to worry about it because they got nobody that's alive or no humans in these rockets going there. So once they perfect that, which they have, how many countries are doing it now? So they're getting better and better. It depends what you're talking about, Mark Jones. You said went to the moon 9 times, landed 6. Well, yeah. So you have, right, 6 to 7 times. But, of course, they're also saying that was much more Apollo missions. I believe there was, and we've talked about this before. But you're right about that. You said went to the moon 9 times, landed 6. However, you know, people said it was 18 through 20. Again, if they found those things on the moon, then I can almost promise you that they never stop going. Because if there's so much up there to see, structures, spacecraft, whatever the heck it may be, technology, they're going to continue to go. They're going to build a base there so they can analyze, put it like a small base in the middle of all of this, and just keep looking at it through the years, sending the information back to Earth, the technology back to Earth, because we're pulling this stuff apart ourselves. Now, it's pure speculation because I've not seen that. However, there is people telling, you know, there's top secret missions that actually have bases on the moon. And it would not surprise me, you know. Again, I've said this before where, you know, you can take the SR-71, the top secret jet back in the 50s when they built this thing, and in the 60s it was supposed to be, you know, top secret and became non-classified in the 80s. So I can retrofit that thing and make it go right to the moon. It's also invisible to radar. So I can come and go as I please, as long as maybe I got more technologically advanced engines now, instead of like an Atlas V or whatever it may be. Instead, I got something that's much more better than that. And whether you did or didn't, you know, they got it set up, retrofitted so they can go to the moon, land on the moon, come back, because taking off, how much fuel is it going to take? Just how much gravity is there? So you can come back with no problem. Nobody's going to see you come and go as far as radar-wise. And again, pure speculation, but that doesn't mean it can't be done, and it doesn't mean they haven't attempted or have done it. Justy, you said, excuse me, Chris, like midnight, and you should get some sleep. Thank you, and thanks to all. Yeah, I appreciate you being here, man. Yeah, there's a little, we started a little bit later, which, that's my apologies for that. But like I said, we're going to try this next time. As far as, like, we never have any issues here, but because we were trying so many different things and trying to get them to work with the others, it just created a problem. So, but I definitely wanted to get back on with you guys anyway and, and have a good talk with this. So, yeah, but Justy, I do appreciate you being here and your support, man. So, yeah, if you got to hit the crib there, I appreciate you being here, right? Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about, Richard Bunt. You said they found microchips on the moon, and the astronauts went into the stone structure secret video I seen. Yeah, if you're talking about the one, you can see, like, they're looking back and forth, and you can see, like, it's kind of like that weird, white, hazy kind of thing going on with it. And you can see these, like, they're walking through these buildings where you can see, like, there's, like, no ceilings. It doesn't appear there's any ceilings or anything. But they're walking through these things. You can see what looks like structures. Now, I'm 50-50 on that video. But the reason why I don't totally dismiss it is because how do we know if there was a structure, if there were structures on the moon that they weren't made of stone anyway? Why not? It's a good insulator from radiation. Of course, it'd be better underground, but you get what I'm saying. And it wouldn't surprise me if they had these kind of structures up there. Why? Why not? And if not stone or cement, whatever it may be, what else could it possibly be made of? Steel. Sure, you can do that. But I don't think they're going to make a whole structure out of steel, though it's not impossible. And keep in mind the actual gravity on the moon. They can build quite large. So, again, I'm 50-50, and the only reason why I haven't dismissed that is because it's not, when you see the structures, it's not like totally out of the realm of possibilities, right? Massanissa, what's going on? I think I seen you in early. I don't think I said hello, though, but hello. Glad to see you in there. He said maybe one day NASA will reveal to us real photos of Mars. Yeah, I don't think you and I will be around to see that, but I'd hope so. It'd be nice. William DeMoss, he says, is the moon hollow? Well, we've talked about this in a lot of detail at one point. Well, when you take a stage of a rocket and you slam it purposely into the moon and it rings like a bell for X amount of time, and they've done this a couple times. The funny thing about it, they already had seismic, machines up there. They had seismographs up there. So they had the equipment up there to test this. I'm going, okay, why would you do that? So you left it on there, dropped a rocket on there. It sees this activity through the moon itself, and it rang like a bell for like hours. So, in fact, I think it was like one time, it was like a day or two. I forget what it was. But anyway, this thing goes boom. So it rings like a bell. So does that mean it's hollow? Well, it doesn't have to be 100% hollow. It could be because they believe it's like ancient lava tubes where at one point the moon was volcanically active, right? So in short, it could be actually partly hollow. Now, some people, if you read some of these ancient civilization talks, they talk about how there was a time before the moon. So you go, okay, so was that brought here from somewhere else? Well, if the story is true, then clearly somebody brought it here, if it's true. And some people speculated saying, well, maybe that was like Noah's Ark. They brought like people from another solar system, galaxy, whatever, and then we were seeded here. Is that a possibility? I don't know. No idea. There's all kinds of speculation. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But there's these metals, precious metals on the moon, what they're made out of. And it's really a strong skin, if you will. And the reason why I call it a skin is because when you look at the moon itself, like I said, I've said this many times, if you could strip off just look at a satellite view, if you could strip off all of the craters and things like that, it's like a round sphere, super smooth, and then it looks like they just put these things on there, and they built them up to make them look super deep. When you look at some of the short ones, meaning not as wide, and you see the other ones that are really wide, like 100 feet, and some are only 6 feet, they look like the same depth. I'm like, wait a minute. Now they did say that if there was volcanic, eruptions back in the day, of course you have this bubble of lava come up and then fold back into itself. That's a good possibility. But again, the ground, a lot of these large craters, they look super smooth instead of rocky and what's left over from this dried up or cooled off lava, and you don't see that. Now, a lot of them look like the same depth. How is this possible? I don't know. There's a lot of questions, man. The moon is, it doesn't seem natural. Let's put it that way. What's going on there, Snaggletooth? 1351. Good morning from New Zealand. Hey, Chris. Hope you're well. I am well. I hope you're doing well as well. Good to have you in there, Snaggletooth. Mimi, you said it could be possible. It always feels like some kind of homesickness when looking at the moon. Yeah, I mean, it's like when you take a look at these photos of Mars, right? It's crazy because it's like you're going, wow, it just seems familiar. Like, is it possible we were from there? Or do we have like two civilizations existing on two different sister planets, well, like a neighborly planet? Is that possible? Well, so far they've been wrong about how long man's been on Earth. And I think maybe the Earth is a lot older than they say. Here's the thing. I'm going to segue right into this other last topic I've got, and I was telling Ricardo about this. This here. There's something out there. Astronomers find repeating signals from galaxy 3 billion light years away. Now, bursts from this source have never been seen at this high of frequency. Now, a lot of these FRBs, or fast radio bursts, are usually between, I think it's like 400 megahertz all the way up to like 8 gigahertz. Now, they're saying they're seeing these generally in the 4 gigahertz to 8 gigahertz, which is basically C-band satellite frequencies, okay, which is bizarre. Let me see here. Okay, so they're saying scientists with a breakthrough listening initiative at the University of California, or UOC, Berkeley, which is devoted to discovering signs of alien intelligent life, recorded 15 repeated fast radio bursts, or FRBs, from a dwarf galaxy 3 billion light years away. Since FRBs, which last only a few milliseconds, were discovered 15 years ago, over 20 have been recorded, and most don't repeat. A few years ago, one did. The scientists called it FRB 121102. More than 150 high-energy bursts have been discovered or observed coming from FRB. And, of course, that's 121102. It says host galaxy. You can see the picture there. See that right there? A few weeks ago, more bursts came from FRB, and then, of course, the number. They were recorded using the Green Banks telescope in West Virginia, which is, probably about an hour from me. As Newsweek notes, because FRBs have an extremely short duration, and because scientists usually find them in data only after the event has taken place, pinpointing their origin has not been possible. Visual, whatever his name is, postdoctoral researcher at UC Berkeley, collected 400 terabytes of data over the 4 to 8 gigahertz frequency band, or C-band, utilized primarily for satellite communication transmissions. The scientists said in their astronomer's telegram that the source of the pulses is in a heightened activity state. Follow-on observations are encouraged, particularly at high radio frequencies. Bursts from this source have never been seen at this high frequency, said Andrew Simone, whatever his name is, directly of the Berkeley SETI Research Center and of the Breakthrough Listen program. Steve Croft, a breakthrough listener astronomer at UC Berkeley, pointed out that when they recently detected pulses left their host galaxy, other solar systems was less than 2 billion years away. Although some explanations have been offered for the source of the FRBs, such as a neutron star collapsing into a black hole, that would produce only one burst, not a repetitive pattern. And another explanation that is young, A highly magnetized neutron star might be a source, be the source, is problematic because such an entity has not been detected in the region of space from which the FRB came. Updated version of this article, blah, 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 blah. So I find that super interesting, and I've said this before. We've talked about this before. Mr. Terry Kelling, thank you very much for your support. I do appreciate you. Said, how long has the Black Knight satellite supposed to have been in orbit around the Earth? I'll get right to that in a second. You know, what I find interesting about this is that when you think about it, we've talked about this before, that other civilizations can be communicating like we do, or they could have their communications like, you know, whether it be uplink and downlink satellites. We have communication around the world through satellites. We have all kinds of different things. Our programs from your TV networks, like you see on like your satellite, right? Well, they have to have a dish to uplink to a satellite. It then has a downlink at a different frequency, and it goes to the cable companies, and then they rebroadcast it through cable lines and fiber optics and so on and so forth. And this is how you get it through your satellite or cable provider. So they have uplinks and C-band and downlinks through C-band and then converted, so on and so forth. It's all high-tech. But so you get the idea. So why is it far-fetched to believe that they're not hearing a communication? My only thing, and I've always laughed about this, I said, you know, it would be funny. Can you imagine the language they have if you could, you know, just sit there and listen in? What we call a cell phone or a communication device may not be something, maybe something called something totally different. Just because we label and put a word on this object doesn't mean that another, you know, civilization would call it. Think about it. I mean, they could be talking in total jumbo and it's a perfect language for them, but we'd be going, you know, somehow you broke the language on. They said, well, they said something about a communication, like we'd call us a cell phone. They call it something totally whacked out and totally different. Just because, like I said, we put our own labels and own words on it, how do we know that's universal? Chances are it's not. Now, to answer your question, Terry, you said, or asked, how long was the Black Knight satellite supposed to have been in orbit around the Earth? Now, I've heard everything from 16,000 to 32,000 years. That's speculation to me. However, as far as the actual Black Knight, I believe that was hidden during the STS missions, you know, with the shuttles and everything else, which was, it was funny because they were saying that it was a thermal blanket. Now, they were correct. It was a thermal blanket. However, they also caught something out in space, and it was not the blanket. Now, they'll show, like, different views of that blanket. You'll see it, like flopped over this way and this way and stuff like that. But when you see the other item that's off in the right, and, of course, they have another picture that shows it, like, in frame, you can see this thing has mass. Now, that blanket is probably like a 4x4, or let's call it even a 6x6, which I don't even think it's that big, but let's call it a 6 foot by 6 foot. You can see it. It was literally on, again, the STS missions. And what they do, these thermal blankets would go on the trunnion pins. And these trunnion pins, you know, they're pretty fat. So it looked like it had a top hat on it. And, of course, you had the flat blanket. Well, one of them got free, and, of course, it floated out in space. And that's how it got, you know, viewed. The trunnion pins is what locks into, you can take a satellite and lock it into the cargo port. Like if you open up the doors on the shuttles, these pins fit right into the actual compartment, and they lock into the walls of this thing, so it's not banging around and floating around and everything else. So that's what those trunnion pins do. So one of these blankets got loose. Now you can see the blanket is, you know, when you see it's about the size from the astronaut's upper torso to his feet. Let's say he's 6 foot tall. Okay. So it's about 5 foot roughly. Let's say 4 to 6 feet, just for argument's sake. And this thing floats off. Well, you can see this other thing I've seen. I've done the Black Knight satellite. I've reviewed it myself. Even helped out my buddy Billy Carson when he did his. I gave him the originals and everything else, and showed him the enhancement. And this thing has mass, and it has like different features on this thing. This thing clearly, and you can look it up. You can go to my channel, and you can just punch in Black Knight satellite, and I've done a video on that, and really, really interesting. And they just try to pass it off. Now, as far as how long this thing's been there, I think it's just speculation and just guesses. And there's nothing wrong with that to a certain degree. Now, why it's there, it's like I said before. How do we know it's not what we're doing to Mars? We sent a probe there just to see what's on there and take pictures and everything else. So this thing, they send it to this planet. Maybe they seen life was here, decided to send this thing. It's a probe. It takes pictures. It communicates back with its home host. And this is how they're getting information from a different planet, like, again, we're doing here on Mars, other planets in our solar system, our moon, and so on and so forth. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Ricardo. He said 400 terabytes of data is a lot. Absolutely. Absolutely. Daiko May said, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Forgive me if it's wrong. Black Knight discarded heat wrap. Well, again, there's supposed to be a thermal blanket. And if you look at it, like I said, go back and if you can view the video I've got, it's not a blanket. Well, at least that particular one is not. Now, like I said, I even said it in, I don't think I used the footage because we had both A and B footage or talking there on Billy Carson's video or the documentary of the Black Knight. And what they viewed in a lot of the STS photos were, in fact, the thermal blanket. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. And you can see that. But then, again, you see this other object off to the right. That is not a blanket. I think they caught that by accident. Now, the other ones, yeah. And Tim Houston said, speed of light is too slow for cosmic communications. Well, yes and no. Again, we're using, quantum communications from Mars to here. So what used to be 5 to 10 minutes of communication is now within seconds. So the second they get Earthrise, in other words, you're viewing it from Mars, you get Earthrise, they send the information. It's within seconds now. So, and if you look at the distance from Earth to Mars, and then you get the idea, you go, well, that's darn fast. And that's regular radio waves. Now, they have been saying they've been testing laser, which is still light. We get that. But still, when you think about it, you go, wait a minute. How much information can you put in a laser, though? That's the difference. Not so much the speed, but how much is in that information. If you look at, like, how much data can you get through, like, fiber optics as opposed to a regular cable coax? Now, obviously, it's different because we're talking about the void of space, but still, there is a faster communication. Here's the other thing, too. How do we know that these, because they were saying that, the guy from SETI, he was saying that, yeah, there's 400 billion light years away. We see a light burst over here from 30 million years away, light years away. And, so they're just like, we just get them from all over the place. How do we know that's not communication? How do we know there's not links all through the universe where the original, transmitter, we'll call it, doesn't, like, relay through the universe, like I said, a cosmic newspaper kind of thing, or the universe newspaper or something like that. And through light, if you can decode it, it's like terabytes of information just drops right there on your receiver, and you see all kinds of crazy stuff. Even if it takes, if it's relaying and it's fast, these things are super fast. All these relays are fast. It can spread throughout the universe in no time, because it'll start to die after so much, distance. So now it relays it and it just amplifies it again, sends it, and so on and so forth. So it's like a repeater station. It's no different. I think it's a good possibility. Is it possibly got something much better than just these light bursts? We don't know. And this is what they're trying to investigate. Exactly, Ricardo. Yep. Said the SDS was developed to not just bring back payloads into orbit, but to catch payloads and bring them down. Well, if you remember too, they used the SDS or the shuttles to build what? The ISS. So yeah. Ricardo, you said fiber optics, the data rate is now pushing 800 gigabits per second. I mean, it's crazy. It's not so much, like I said, the speed as it is to how much information. Just like in the movie Contact, remember they had like, they were getting like their old TV programs back, where they were seeing like Hitler and everything else. And they were rebroadcasting an old broadcast that we sent out how many years ago. And it was highly amplified back to us. But then they found what? A subcarrier. It's kind of like a sideband. If you're into CB, you know what I'm talking about. You got an upper and lower sidebands, upper or lower of that frequency, but they had more information. And then, of course, it was to build this, basically travel machine, if you will, in which they end up using. But the thing is, it's like, there's so much more information could be encrypted and everything else. We don't know. We just, it's just merely guesses and speculation. But that doesn't mean it's unheard of. I mean, they could be so much more intelligent, way ahead of us in technologically advancement. So we're just trying to figure out what these things are. And these could be just communications, just simple light bursts, pew, 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 going back. We don't know. We have no clue. And it may very well be like, these, it could be like nebulas and planets being swallowed and different signatures from other planets and stars and, like I said, nebulas and all this other stuff. Could very well absolutely be. However, when they see something that's out of the ordinary, instead of being real low in the frequencies down at like 400 megahertz, now we're talking 4 to 8 gigs. Oh, okay, wait a minute. We've seen these before. However, these are repeating. So they're seeing information. Is it possible they're just sending information to another planet and we just happen to be picking up on it? I don't know. Again, pure speculation, but you just don't know. Gabby C, yeah. We've talked about that too. Imagine civilization billions of years ahead of us. Well, again, if we had come out of the Big Bang, they used to think that was the only one. It's not anymore. They're seeing that these are random events, and it happens more than once. But if it was started with the Big Bang, again, it's like throwing a pebble into a lake. It just, these waves go outward, right? If you were the first planets on the outer rings, okay, then chances are you cooled first. You developed, you cooled, and then you then you had building blocks of life. You then had life on the planet, and that's millions and probably billions of years ago. So you're super advanced by now, where we're like the new kids on the block. We're just, in comparison, we are. Now, again, they found out that these Big Bangs, they're random. They happen more than once. So that kind of theory goes out the window. However, was it one of the ones that started us, meaning that started the universe? That's debatable too. When you see these planets, they're talking about solar systems colliding into each other and so on and so forth. I'm going, how is this possible? It doesn't make sense. It makes sense to have multiple Big Bangs. Maybe it's throwing planets in different directions. Because again, if you're going outward like this from the center, going out like this, if you're two planets here in the very beginning of this Big Bang, as you go outward, you spread out. So why would you be colliding with each other unless there's another pebble thrown into the lake? Now the waves hit each other. Now these planets are going outwards in different directions. This is the reason why you see solar systems colliding, black holes swallowing planets and stars, so on and so forth. You shouldn't see any chaos in the universe because it should be going completely outward in every direction, 360 degrees direction. You should not see that, and yet we do. Where is this other piece here? We're talking about the rover itself. Sky blue, yes, absolutely. He said galaxies collide. It's a great question, Ricardo. If you're traveling at the speed of light and transmit a message, which is also c, does that mean that the message travels at c plus c, just like the missile fire from a jet fighter goes from A to B? Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. Because here's the thing. If you were to just launch that missile from the ground, okay, would it still be the same speed as launching it from a jet? Doing, let's say, I don't know, 1,000 miles an hour. Well, that's what you got to determine too. And that's the thing. I mean, I don't, first of all, what do you guys think? Do you think it's possible that other civilizations could have like almost the same kind of communications we do? What do you guys think? Like, radio waves, of course, whether it be just programs like we have on our TV, only different to them, obviously, so on and so forth. Do you believe there's other civilizations out here that are very similar to us, or do you think they're just like completely, totally different? Exactly, Tim. Said down with the Big Bang Theory. Boo, his. I love that. It sucks. Again, they're thinking that's what triggered this all off. It's kind of like some scientists have said, how about if the universe was just always? How do we know? And these are just random events, setting off. It's like a giant firecracker, just sets off things, and things start going off in different directions and so on and so forth. How do we know? Maybe the universe just always was. And people go, no, there has to be a beginning. Why? And maybe we wouldn't be able to comprehend that beginning. How do we know? We're just going by what we know right now as far as scientifically, our best hypothesis, best science findings, peer-reviewed, so on and so forth. We're trying to find the answers. And do we know the real answer? Some people might. I don't think we know it all. I think we're still trying to get up and walk as opposed to crawling. Dicomat, you said, how did they know about all of the different planets and orbital mechanics in the Book of Enoch? Well, if you look at the Sumerians, how did they know either? They knew how many planets were in the solar system. They knew their colors, sizes, and distance. How do we know? So, like you said about the Book of Enoch, if you look at that, try to envision reading this book and then go, okay, how do they know that? So was this information brought to them? The book of Ezekiel, where he was brought up above the firmament, looking down at the planet, learning language, agriculture, sciences, knew their by their names all personally. Who are these people? And how did he get above the firmament? Why does it sound eerily familiar? Dicomat, you said, Chris, have you ever read the Admiral Wilson memo that came with the WikiLeaks? It sounds familiar, but I don't believe I have. I've asked this very same question from Sky Blue. He said, if you're traveling in a car at the speed of light and you turn on your headlights, do they come on? Of course they do. They just don't project. The element still lights. There's just no projection from the rear reflector. Well, Richard Bunny said, hey, maybe these planets were birthed from giants and ants, I guess it is, or some insects. I don't know. What do you guys also think about, oh God, what is his name? I forget what it is, but he talks about everybody, a lot of these aliens are like reptilian and stuff like that. A good idea, or kind of lame? Is he just grasping at straws? Is he, what's his name? You guys would know it off the top of your head. I got it, I just can't get it out. Oh, man. I've always said that. I'm not a big fan of that. William DeMoss, he said, you have the cause and effect rule in okay. You can't get something from nothing. Well, this is the reason why they're questioning the universe, saying, well, there must have been a start somewhere. Think about it. Yes. Ike. What the hell's his first name? But yeah. No, you're right. He said, I think. David Icke, yes. Thank you, Terry, and Miss Heard. The thing is, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, they're trying to figure out, because, again, it's kind of like when you build something, you put it together. So there was a beginning. So you had to take parts, put it together in order to make this object. Well, they're trying to figure out how the universe came to be. Maybe it just always was. But wait a minute. It boggles the mind, because you're going, wait a minute. You know, if you could fly like Superman and fly out in space, you can keep going and going and going. There is no end. It's not like you're going to go smack up against a wall. There is nothing out there. It goes on and on and on. Now, you may go out to the point where you leave the planets behind, but there's nothing out there. Think about that. And if we're in a simulation, then there is an end to it. So, really, really bizarre. But this is the reason why they're scratching their head. They're going, there had to be a start with the planet somehow. That doesn't mean, we don't know that. Again, we're just grasping at straws as far as I'm concerned. We're trying to understand. We're trying to, that's the big question, right? Gabby C. said it would be amazing to travel the universe. Yeah, if you could do that, it'd be amazing. Terry Kelling, oh, this is making my brain melt. Don't you hate that? You gotta start going, oh, that hurts. Yeah, Mark Jones, you said David Icke. William DeMarge, you said, but is nothing quantifiable. Well, see, that's, again, you know, when you listen to these people talk, these, you know, scientists and, you know, all of these people, these, well, we'll call them big brains, if you will, and they're in these rooms and at these round tables and they're discussing it and this, that, and the other, and I'm going, based on your scientific knowledge, how do you come up with that? Now, they do have red drift. Red drift is showing that the universe is expanding. So what caused it to do that? So it had to have started from a certain point. It's going outward. Or it's just like our solar system. The sun's traveling, we're orbiting our star. So, and they can see the actual universe spreading apart, like, again, like a pebble away from a pebble being dropped in this lake. So it's still going outward, which they call a red drift, and then they can calculate that, and then of course they said had to been some kind of large explosion to start something. I don't believe it. Now, when you're in school, you believed it, and as you get older, you go, something just doesn't make sense. Yeah, Ricardo, yeah. So there is not nothing or nothing. I got the book of Enoch here. Ah, good one, Terry. So maybe we're just hanging around a cat's neck. Let's see. Men in Black? The universe. Let me see. Dyko Matt, you said, have you watched, I guess, Moment of Contact? Is that what it is? What do you think about incident? Honestly, I haven't seen it. So I can't comment on that. Tim, he said, cosmic anthropological principle. William DeMoss, you said, what's on the other side of a black hole? Nobody knows. However, they do know, or they have seen now, this thing regurgitate a planet, which is goofier than hell. I don't remember if it was an actual planet or a sun or star, but a planet went in, they actually witnessed this, and then this thing come back out. So whatever it is, it's insanely powerful to begin with. Yeah, you're saying cosmic reversing? Yeah. And Drew Bob said that. So I think that's probably what they want to do at some point. Remember, what was the name of that movie years ago? I mean, it came out in the 80s, of The Black Hole. Remember that? They ended up going into that. So I'm sure at some point, if they haven't done it yet, they want to try to send a probe into one of these things, but I don't foresee it doing anything. It may take calculations, send information back, but there'll be no way to send information back in a black hole. Yeah, misheard, yeah. That was really funny when Tommy Lee Jones grabbed Tabloid Magazine and said it was the best news on the planet. Yep. We got this the funny riddles coming out. Enrico says, if we had a refrigerator traveling at the lightest speed, and then would the light go out when we close the door? Well, yeah, of course. But how would you have it plugged in? Dun dun dun. Gabby C says the aliens are already here. Yeah, it's also good, Ricardo. Yeah, I've heard that many a times. So maybe the same question as if the tree falls over in the woods and no one is there to hear it, does it still make a noise? Of course. Yep, the movie Inventor Rising. Yep, Terry. Richard Bunt, you said, I wonder what Area 51 has been up to. Well, what is another one now? Is it, they have another one now. Is it 52? Some weird thing, but they have another base now. So they're probably thinking, well, this one's too much out in the open now. Let's go ahead and, do what we can. Another area in probably Groom Lake or something like that. And I'd love to be able to go down there and actually see what's really taking place. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of technologies being tested as far as planes and different, crafts and stuff like that. So I get that. But as far as alien stuff being reversed, that would be cool to see. That would be neat. Especially if you're in the know. Oops. Let me see. Well, hold on. Dico Matt, you said, why would light travel at a fixed rate? If you had an object moving at the speed of light, will new light emitting from it not inherit the object's existing momentum? You would think. Or if it went through some kind of prism, would it slow it down, speed it up? What would it do? But yeah, I mean, as far as what you're saying, yeah. I mean, I think so. Or would it just simply match the speed of that moving object? Oh, that was funny. Yeah, Joe Blow there. You said they sure got us going that time. They said they were going to rush Area 51. That was funky. Oh, Papoose Lake. Okay, yeah, but even then, the new area, isn't it Area 52 now or some weird thing? That was, yeah. Again, I'd love to be able to go into this place and find out what's really going on. Sky Blue said, logically, I believe that the other side of a black hole is like a white orifice spewing black stars and other stuff. Yeah, it's hard to tell what these things are, right? Does it take you into a totally, like a giant, it's a wormhole, right? Is it something like that? And then you end up, if you can stay together in one piece, but the forces, from what they can tell, it just literally rips anything apart that goes into it. And maybe because it's so darn large that it's trying to suck in, it's just breaking the thing apart. It can't move fast enough. It just pulls apart whatever it, encounters. If you were a small craft and you could fly into this thing super fast, would it still do the same thing to you? Because you'd be much smaller than a planet or a star. Would it still do the same? And once you come out the other side, what would happen? All right, Mimi, good to have you in there, and as always, and I do appreciate you stopping in and talking with us and everything else. So I'm going to bed. Good night, everybody, and sleep well. Don't let the MIB catch you. Yeah. But, yeah, you have a good night there and a better day tomorrow there, right? Yeah, but it would have been funny, though. You said those dogs had no idea where... it was another 20 miles from that gate to the actual base. But that would have been funny if they actually got to it. Of course, they wouldn't go nowhere. It's not like it's a giant garage door we can just bum rush and just open up the thing and 1,000 people pour into it. You can bet it's like it's fortified and everything else. They're just not going to let people do that. And they will use force. So, and people go, well, yeah, but if there's thousands of us, how are they going to be able to shoot a wall? They don't need to. They can use new technology like microwaves on the back of a Jeep and literally fry you from the inside. Exactly, Ricardo. I was saying, please do not when they try to bum rush that. You just can't do that. See, I don't know if they can, Terry. You said your question was, how do scientists know that they can't travel through a black hole? Well, what they're doing is they're going by what they see, right? So they see a black hole. They see it literally. You can see a sun literally get ripped into it, literally rips it apart, or a planet. And they're saying that it literally kills whatever it gets sucked into it. So in a sense, they're thinking, yeah, I mean, you go next to that thing, it'll rip you to shreds. Again, it's like trying to pull on something much larger. Chances are, if you try to pull it with quick force, what would happen? And it doesn't move that fast. You're going to rip it to pieces. But if you're already flying like super fast and go right into the center of that thing, would it rip you apart still? Or would you be okay in it? But the other problem would be is, where do you end up? Do you collide with something at the other end of it? Well, I'm sure they don't know. unless they've already tried that and sent a probe through it, which I highly doubt. Here we go, bum rush. Yep, LRAD, yep. Tech is real directed energy weapon, well, which it is. And we talked about this, where they literally had this. Basically, it looks like just a flat dish on the back of one of these Humvees, right? Or whatever else they choose to put it on. But anyway, they had like 4 or 5 guys out there standing. Yeah, you guys ready? Oh, yeah, we're ready. They're like, oh, they're bracing for it. I just put that thing for a millisecond. And they've all keeled over. Because it's basically, they say that it's just heating up your water molecules in your body. No, you're being toasted. I mean, you're literally, it's like a giant microwave you're in. So, and that's what it is. They just have to just basically go back and forth. Those people be stopped instantaneously. So for people to think, oh, we're going to go down there, we're going to show the military what's up, they could be more brain dead if they wanted to be. Well, yeah, Sky Blue, that he said, I've heard there's radioactive areas in Area 51. I'm not sure if they used to do a lot of the bomb tests, too, where they would actually, dig a hole and put these things subsurface, and they would blow it up. But I don't believe it was in that area. And if they did, if it was caused by a spacecraft, maybe, that's different. But and I know they used to do tests with bombs and stuff like that. And I know that they had a section of that area. And of course, it's not going to be right at the base where they actually done testing with, weapons and stuff like that. All right, Miss Heard, glad you were here, and glad we got to see you. I think it was not last week. Well, last time it was the week before that. So nobody knew we were at, so I'm glad that you were able to make it in here, and we got to chat and everything else, and have a good time as always. You said, everyone, I got to go. Get supper started. It's 5:45 p.m. my time. Goodbye. Stay safe. Take care. Will you do the same, Miss Heard? Good to have you in there as always. Yeah. Ricardo said, I would say that what is observed or believed to be a black hole is in fact a plasmoid and electrical Z-pitch, similar effect to what we think is a black hole. Yeah, okay. I can see that. I don't know. Something I'd have to look into, too. Interesting. I don't know. I don't think they really know. Like I said, they're just observing these things, right? So what they're seeing, it's kind of like like I said, when you go out and you watch the movie like Independence Day, first thing you think of is, I don't never want to meet an alien. They'll rip us to shreds, or they'll just blow the whole planet up and take it for themselves. So it's in your mind thinking that this is the case. Well, when they look at a black hole from a distance, and of course this is through, Hubble and so on and so forth, when you see these things and they're observing them through different spectrums of light, and they see these things, and they see this one planet getting ripped to shreds, what's the first thing you think of? Well, it's nothing but destruction. So, I don't know. I think as the years go by, and like I said, we'll all be compost by then, they'll learn more and more, and that's what science is. That's what I love about science. It's always changing and evolving, because what was said back in the 80s is no longer legit. Some of it is. But what you were taught in school, nothing like you think. Like when history class, I love history. Oh, they're talking about the Egyptians, and oh, I love that. And then when you find out, you go, oh, things have changed drastically since now I'm more knowledgeable about that area. The Sumerians and ancient civilizations, and what they and how they built, or if these pyramids were there prior to them, which some people state that. I mean, like I said, we're learning all the time. And that's what it's really all about. Exactly, Ricardo. Suppose it's all speculation until you get ground truth. Well, yeah, that's exactly what it comes down to. I mean, I don't know how many people said, "Oh man, I'd love to have boots on the ground on Mars and we can actually see these things for ourselves." That's why all we can do is speculate. You can speculate on a lot of things we see, whether it's on the moon or Mars, but there can only be so many things on that comes from a civilization, right? Structural, technological, and organic or biological, right? So and that pretty much sums up most of it. So there's only so much of that you're going to see. So when you see one of our astronauts standing in a giant field, what looks like a giant landscape on the moon, and then all of a sudden you bring out the lines that they've been trying to hide in there, and you can see what looks like these machines or something all in a row right behind this astronaut, you can't help but to think either structure or machine. Meaning machine could actually be a spacecraft or a part of, I don't know. But again, purely speculation. So when you do see this, you just go, what the hell? It's mind-blowing of the things they've seen and some of the things we've seen in these photos. And between that and Mars, like I said, if I passed on tomorrow, I would know that we're not the only life forms out here. It's as simple as that. Exactly, Ricardo. Yep. Back to animal, vegetable, and mineral. William DeMarge says, I love your work. See you later. All right, William. I appreciate you being here and commenting and all that good stuff. So, I know a lot of you folks are and newcomers and stuff because I see new faces in there. So just make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit that bell and that notification that says all so that you guys will be aware of any of these live podcasts or videos, all right? So thank you, William, for being here, and appreciate you coming in there and jumping in there. I am Morgan. I didn't even see you sneak in there. He said, yep, 10 to midnight in the UK. Time to sleep. Great stream and chat. Chris, see you on the next one. I appreciate you there, I am Merkin. It's cool that you were in there. I don't even know if I even seen you. I don't know if you just popped in and just to say hello or what. Who's just saying that about? Yeah. Oh, let me see. What was that? Jason LFC he said, what do you think they'll find in the JUICE mission? What was that again? I'm trying to remember now. I was just reading. I went by an article on the JUICE mission. Oh, man. Maybe somebody can refresh my memory because I've been reading a lot of things on science and stuff like that lately. And I know I've seen that being said in a mission. I'm not sure what it is. Doop, doop. Okay. All righty. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. That's awesome, and thank you for your support as always. That's cool. Much love to you for that. I love how people just pop right in. I love that, and it's cool. It's actually cool that people do that because it's like out of the blue. And here's the thing: I mean, when you haven't done some of these podcasts in a while, then all of a sudden you start getting back into it. Other people go, "Man, I didn't even know you were doing these." And oh, that reminds me. I'll get to that in a second too. Okay. Yeah, we'll get back into that. So, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of people that weren't getting notified or notifications. Now they're starting to pop in. They're going, I'm just going to check every weekend if I can. Because it was like for 2 or 3 weeks, I wasn't doing any these podcasts because, super busy at work. It's hard to get to these things. And then when you do get out of work, you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. You want to hit the recliner and just chill. But it sucks being away from it because I'm so used to, doing it, with all the love and everything here, the support and everything else. Michelle, I always mess that name up somehow, but I try not to. I do appreciate you again, and, for the support. Because a lot of people actually support me through either comments on each video, through the chat, which is awesome, the super chats. You guys rock. What can I tell you? And it's just awesome that I got that kind of support, and I couldn't be happier. It's just cool because over the years you build like a group of people. Because obviously, when you look at any channel, go to any channel, I don't care who it is, you get a channel that's got, like, let's say, for instance, we got 67,000 viewers. You're going to have a handful of people, probably 125 to 150 people that are like hardcore. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people that view, but there's, because they just want to see and they're curious. And then there's the people that go, no, I'm much more into this. I'm scientific in my mind. I like to read a lot on what's going on. I like to broaden my horizon and my brain. I want to absorb it like a sponge. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's awesome that people have got on board. And they've been doing this. I've been doing this for years, since like 2012. But, the more I got into it and started doing these, I went, wow, I was just blown away how much there's a lot more people like me, and there's probably a ton more, I'm sure of it, that really are into this. And it makes you feel good. You know what I mean? It's like I said, it's like, to me, it's like a giant, round table of people with just, like-minded people, if you will. So again, thank you very much, Michelle. I do appreciate that. Who was just saying that about? Ricardo, he said, imagine what we could show us under the ice of Antarctica. I got one, and I don't know if it's Antarctica, but there was a photographer that took a before, and this goes back, I think, in the 50s or 60s to now, and you can literally see the ice sheet melted, and there's something they blurred out at the base of it. And in fact, I do have some more Antarctica that was shared to me a while back, and I'm going to, if I can dig that back up, see my Photoshop went back off, which was just lovely to see. I literally went back into this photo that I had presented before. And of course we had, we had a lot of these photos that we had checked out. We had Sarah and of course Julia helping us out with this. And they would send me pictures and stuff, and I have a file full of these things. So, I want to go back over it. I went back over one, and wow, incredible. You have to analyze these photos in order to see how they've done it. Kind of like, here's a perfect example, the moon photos. Some of them are so whited out and just trashed that it's hard to pull anything out of these photos. If they've gone over it too much and you can't pull a line out, you're not pulling anything out of this thing. Not a thing. But if you're lucky enough to find lines underneath the censoring, you can bring quite a bit out. It depends on the photo. If it's completely whited out, washed out, whatever it may be, it's hard to do that. It's like they over, contrast these things, or whatever it is, the opposite. It's just really hard to pull these things out. But then you get the darker photos and you learn how I can bring that out. Things change, tools change, and you try to bring out each of these things the best you can. You'll never bring out 100% of it. It's not going to happen. I see people going, I can't get a thing out of it, so I didn't even bother. What about the smaller pieces you can bring out? That's the whole idea. Bring out the smaller piece. If you can't bring out the whole, it's like a whole puzzle piece. Can't bring out the whole puzzle, bring out the pieces. So at least you can at least see that and, come to your own conclusion. That's basically what it comes down to. So we got some of that coming up. Valerian the Mac 3, you rock, Chris. Oh, you guys rock. Like I said, it's just awesome. Jason, he said, will you cover juice findings? Yeah, I mean, if the information comes out, and I'll try to stay on top of that too. What's really sad? When you look at the population here on Earth, how let me ask you guys this question. Anybody can answer this. What do you believe if you were given the information tomorrow that they actually come out with this information? There were structures on the moon. They are not ours. They were of another civilization. These people also, or a different civilization, lived on Mars. How would this affect your life? What would be your thought process, just out of curiosity? My man Gogna68, welcome back. Doing the live chat. It's nice to see you. Well, good to see you in there as well. See, like I said, it was a failed attempt in the beginning, but yeah, we're good now. Alrighty then, you got mail. We will definitely be checking that out. Oh yeah. Steve Garner said, I must watch Sarah's videos on Antarctica. They sound great. They are. I do have a channel for that. And let me see here. Absolutely exquisite work as far as I'm concerned. A lot of in-depth research. Let me see here. This will probably mess me all up, though. Let me see. No, it won't. Let's see. Let's do... Oops. There we go. Let's do that. I'm going to copy that. Yeah, I'm going to show you folks. I'll give you the link. You can check out the videos. And you've got, let me see which one it is. The Censoring of Antarctica, Sarah's thesis. Now, this is all of her work, and Julia's as well. A good friend of hers. And I'm going to give you the video. You can check it out. Again, it's 3 hours long. And I put it together it's like a scrolling book, so to speak. And of course, you can go into it and speed it up if you want to. Go through the different speeds. There's like a classical music playing in the background. You don't want to hear that? Just mute it. Really, really good. Like I said, this is basically her stuff. The both of them. A lot of really good scientific study. And we'll probably wreck this here. I'm going to drop this link right now, so you guys want to grab it. And if you want, you can even subscribe to that channel because there's some things on there, and I might be getting back into that as well. So check that out. There it is at the bottom. Michelle, you said, Michelle, I'm not saying Michelle. Life is all around us in the universe. Unfortunately, censorship is also all around us. Sarah's Antarctica thesis really helps break it down. It absolutely does. I totally agree. Again, guys, grab that link. Check that video out. Again, you can speed it up. You can put it like 3/4 speed. It wouldn't matter. It depends on how fast you can read, right? So there was a lot of her work, and she's got this site and stuff like that. But there's a lot of work in this thesis, in this video. And what I do is I took everything and compiled it into this one steady video, just scrolling. And you can see pictures, the research she's done, all of the, oh, my God. You want the real stuff, not this Linda Moulton Howe stuff. This is the real deal, and how when you read on it over 100,000 years ago, or right around there, there was a industrialization there. Now, that does not surprise me anyway. We've talked about this before, where this other scientific, these geologists went up there, and they took core samples and stuff like that. And they found out not only, I think they did core samples under the water as well. So you've got like this big tube, and you can see where it's showing like the water, sludge, and all this other crap, and soil, and then it gets down to organics. And it was lush. They said it was like the Amazon jungle at one point. Why? Well, the earth was tilted in a different way then. So, it does not surprise me to see that there were civilizations there as well. Now, we're going way back in time. So now was this, us or something outside Earth? And I believe it was something outside of Earth, because when you see the structures that are there, and you can watch that again, and I've done some Antarctica videos there as well, and you can go on that channel, because once you go there, you'll see it, what it says. You get the channel, you can sub to it, and just check these things out. Like I said, the longest one is like 3 hours and 13 minutes, I think, something like that. Really, really good information. You want information, that's the way to go. Sky Blue said, that's a good question. Chris, knowing it's plausible other intelligent life would be very different than knowing for sure. Many would think NASA's BSing us. Um, well, I mean, regardless, if they were to tell us that there was life, right, meaning there was a civilization on the moon or Mars, first questions that come to my mind is, how long have these structures been there, or these whatever's been left behind? How long has it been there? By who? What was their reasoning for being on the moon? Was it mining? Was it living? Was it a jump off from, like we're trying to do, right? We had Earth, and of course we have the moon. So when you have this jump off spot, like we're trying to go from, SpaceX is trying to like build at some point, other people will do it too. They're trying to build this base on the moon. Okay, that makes sense. So it's easier to go from the moon to Mars than it is to lift off from Earth to Mars. So is it possible they were living on the moon, but they were doing the same thing we're doing right now? We want to use it as a jump-off point. So have a base on the moon. You can come and go to Earth because you can take off from the moon with virtually almost no gravity. You can go back and forth. Now, taking off from Earth is a different ball game, but you know what I'm saying. But once you're on the moon, you can go to Mars with no problem. Mars has how much gravity? It's not like Earth, so it's still a lot better, right? Oh, Michelle, that's too kind of you. I do appreciate that. That is awesome. He said, you did a fabulous job, Christopher. She used to call you, adding the music to her work. Her work is stunning, Reed, and your musical accompaniment was brilliant. Well, I mean, I couldn't think of anything else. I didn't want it to be just blank. That makes sense. Where you can have a little bit of music, and if it distracts you while you're trying to read it, and I get that too. Even if you speed it up, I actually sped the video up, and it actually just sounds a little faster music, and it doesn't sound bad. It's not like having something with lyrics in it. It's like all of a sudden it sounds like the Chipmunks. That's not what I wanted to set out to do. But like, I told Sarah before, and before her passing, I said, listen, as long as I put this stuff down into video, your work will live on. It's as simple as that. And that was my promise to her, and I'm going to keep that promise. And this is the reason why we got these videos up. And, I don't know if the site's still up. I'll figure that out. I'll find that out. See if I can find an email or something like that just to be sure. But then I'll drop the link under this video once, it's all been finalized and everything else through YouTube, and I'll drop some links down there so we can check it out. But I have no doubt in my mind that when I saw the photos that was presented to me, and then we turned around and enhanced them and brought whatever's there out, and like I said, I've got one coming out. It's amazing. We've already done it, but now doing a different technique, I found more stuff there, and there's no doubt in my mind. Even if we were to go back, let's say, some people say, well, it's military. It's our military. They put it there. Okay, so let's say they'd done it in the 20s or 30s, just for argument's sake. Maybe it's Hitler. Maybe they built this. No. When you see the structures that were built there, it's like you can see they're futuristic. They don't look something that would be old like we would build back in, like, you know what I mean? Because the Army's there and our forces are there, and they've built structures above ground, but they also built below ground, so that they can withstand the weather. And they're literally, it's like an apartment building underground. They got their own power source generator and everything else under the ground. So, and I think it's almost nuclear, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So my other question was, if they're just going there to do simple things like core samples, they're just checking out, some ice and find out when was the last ice age and stuff like that. Why do you need to stay there? It's one thing to do a temporary camp. I get that. Do it in different areas. But why would you build something to stay there unless there was something to constantly observe, something to spend time that you're going to be pulling apart and learning on? You know what I mean? You're going to be learning this stuff. So it makes sense that you would build a permanent base. There'd be no other reason to do that. So, and again, much love to you. Thank you very much for your support, as always. Ricardo, thank you very much as well. You said just filling in for James. Where is James, come to think of it? That's weird, yeah. Where's he been anyway? Haven't seen James in a while. Larry in the Mac 3, you said Linda Moulton Howe, and you put love there. Now, don't get me wrong. I've said this before. Do I think she's a bad person? No. But I also don't think that when you come up with a story that you should over embellish. Is some of this real? I would say yes. In other words, is there bases, or I don't know about, this, she's saying alien bases under the ice. Good possibility. And what we're seeing, we actually pull photos apart. We can see both on the ice, but obviously we can't see below the ice. So I don't know how true that is. Because like I said, I mean, if you can see on top, like we've pulled apart these photos and seen structures all over the place. If you can see them, you go, okay, I see structures. Chances are this is not ours, and it's been there for X amount of years. So, but when you say, oh, it's underground and it's aliens, and how would you be able to prove that? Now, we can prove it above the ground, but below, there's never any proof of that. No photos, no nothing. Now, there's illustrations, there are drawings, so on and so forth. But if these guys are so good, you're telling me they couldn't even sneak out a photo of this place? Come on. That's why I kind of doubt. I'm not saying I'm not hating on this woman at all. I think she's an all right researcher. But as far as like, listen, show me the real deal here. Show me the real skinny. I don't want to see this garbage. And it's like that with all of these guys that are doing this stuff. It's like, stop it over embellishing. Again, they go, well, we came up with this story last year. Well, actually 5 years ago. How can we put another twist on it or add to this? Because if we don't stay relevant. We don't make money. Hence the different twist and different things. Oh, I talked to another ex-military, or I talked to another, and obviously, I mean, I get it. They got to blur out their face, change their voice. I get all that. But you never get any solid evidence. I could talk that all day long. Yes, I've been down to Area 51. I got away. I snuck through there. I took a gun off one of the guards and, held up the place. I was able to go in there and check it out and got out there unscathed and come out with some elaborate BS. And will people believe me? Probably. But, where's the proof? Show me the proof. Because you're going to run out of there with something, or you're going to, it just doesn't, I don't know. Like I said, I'm dubious when it comes to this stuff. Yeah, I got to see the real stuff, or else show me something. Throw a bone. Throw us a bone here every now and then so we can actually check this out for ourselves. Exactly. He says Sarah's site will remain forever. I made certain of that. There you go. Absolutely. It needs to live on. Here's the thing. I mean, whether we're here, we're gone, doesn't matter. The idea is, like I said, if I'm going tomorrow, as long as YouTube's up and there's other people have been taking these videos, you can download these videos. You can download it right underneath the video. It shows it. It'll say download. You can just take the thing yourself, and there you go. So as long as people do that, the work will live on forever. Of course, you'd have to pass it down to kids or people that are interested, genuinely interested. But as long as YouTube's here, the work lives on. A site is up, it lives on. And people just, the people who are in the know or want to know and they're serious about it, they'll download it themselves. I've got it's just a small hard drive. I think it's like a 4 terabyte. But I just put everything on that. So I don't have to worry about this thing somebody getting into it or any of that. It's completely shut down. But it's nice to have this information and pass it on. The future generations will do that. And that's the whole idea of it. Sky Blue, you said, yes, there's a little doubt that there is and was spacefaring races and probably from Earth. I think so. I think absolutely. Richard Bow, what are you talking about? I'm not sure what you mean. You said, I like Linda. Linda, her stories are missions of about? Does Linda still do her live chat? I'm not sure. I think she does. I could be wrong, though. Yeah, pretty much, Ricardo. He said the internet is the new immortality. Hollywood, take a back seat. No, I couldn't tell you, Rico. I don't know. Anyone get David Wilcox's? Oh, yeah, I haven't. Let's see. TNT 871998. What's the name of Sarah's site? I don't have the link right on me at the moment. Like I said, when I get it, because I'll check the internet again. And what I'll do is I'll put it underneath this video. I always have it on the a pinned post at the very top of the comment section. Anything I do in my videos, I always have the links and everything else right there at the very top. I noticed lately, though, this is really funky because I'll literally put the link up there. Now, twice on my latest video, I literally had to pin it twice. I'll pin it, make sure it's good. I'll go back through the comments, and I'll be done if it's not unpinned again. I'm like, what is going on? Richard Button said that would be good to see you and Linda interviewing NASA. That would be awesome. I'd love to be able to just somehow get into one of these meetings and just, ask these guys. If they go, of course they'll try to play it off. Oh, it's a pareidolia. It's this, it's that, the other. Okay. Then explain these things. Well, which one are you talking about? This one? This one? This one? This one? This one? Throw this guy out. I mean, at some point they're going to choke. Now, they'll play it off as pareidolia or whatever, and that's fine. But it's like, even if we were to be totally wrong on what these objects are, it doesn't matter to me. Why the obfuscation? Why the censoring? It makes no sense. You shouldn't have to do that. It's a raw photo. And, compression artifacts aside, it's a raw photo. You should not see purposely blurring, purposely digitalization of certain areas. You shouldn't see highly contrasted areas where they don't want you to see what it is, or really dark areas next to mountains. And I mean, they're doing this purposely because you can see that. So, when you look at this stuff and you're going, why be sneaky like that? These are raw photos that should show all. When you say raw, it means untouched, unscrewed with. It should be absolutely the real deal. And that's not what we see. Oh, you too, Guyan. That's awesome. I appreciate you. I really do. Like I said, I don't even know what to say. But I do appreciate that, Michelle. Am I pronouncing that right? Just give me a virtual slap if I'm not. Futuristic minded. I've noticed sometimes if you edit a comment as a user, it will also erase the heart, which is really weird to me. Yeah, maybe because you altered it. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I've never done that myself, so I don't know. I didn't know it actually did that. If you alter it, you wouldn't think that would change that. Maybe because it's revised, because it'll say, what does it say on there? Something like revised. But yeah, I never knew that. Well, NASA are incredibly good fantasy ice skaters. Yep, everybody's saying it, Michelle. Fantastique. Okay. I always manage to mess it up. Maybe because I'm so used to saying either a Michelle or something else. Richard Bunny said, "You are boss, sir." Like I said, it's like I said before. This channel is nothing without obviously viewers and subscribers. It just makes sense, right? I think it's wrong that the powers that be on YouTube decide to shadow ban a lot of these channels, and I'm not the only one. I should have well over 100,000 by now, and I don't. Now, I have heard, I think it was Real Jimmy Roberts said that he started doing the shorts, and he said, suddenly I'm picking up all kinds of people. I went, imagine that. Maybe I should get on the outside of this and not just this. And I do have plenty of these shorts I can make, believe it or not. Even if I just go like this and just talking to show you the screen and say, guess what's coming up, guys? Is this the real thing or not? And you can see that. I don't even care to do that because then it gets you guys to go, oh, it's like a little teaser, got something to look forward to. I can always say that in a video, but it's a lot nicer seeing it. And you go, ooh, what is that all about? So I don't care to even do that, right? Joe Boy, yes, Chris. Steve gone. Sorry, I don't know French. Merci. Oh yeah. Merci beaucoup. Seeking truth. I think maybe that the Earth has been here for so long. All the impossible ancient structures we see could be very ancient, but are from highly intelligent beings right here. And that could be. But I mean, there was talks about how, well, stories of some kind of thing along them lines saying that the Egyptians came along, those pyramids were there. Or at least the Sphinx was. So they're trying to figure out, who actually built these things. I believe it was the actual Egyptians that built the pyramids. But if you listen to them, they actually say it was, from help from the overseers, basically the gods above. Wait a minute, who are these people? Futuristic minded. I've gotten so many hearts to where I made a negative comment and got rid of it, and I'm like, oh no, the heart is gone. Mark Jones, you said exactly, Chris. The fact that there's blurring on so many pictures means someone is deciding what we can see and what we can't. Amazing, really. Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. I mean, let's say, like I said, we're totally off. We don't have a clue what these things are. And again, I've said this many times. We can't, vet any of this crap. We don't know what it is. We know the difference between, like I said, natural and unnatural. And the fact that they're censoring these photos, there's no reason for it. Zero. Nada. So to me, I go, just the fact that they're doing that just screams 1,000 words. There's no reason for it. Zero, And people go, well, you don't even know what that is. You're just speculating. Yes. I've said this a million times. I'm speculating, of course. I can't handle it. I don't know what it is. I'm just saying this is what it looks like to me. And the fact that it's there in a photo on Mars should blow anybody's mind. It doesn't make sense. Cameron, you said, have a good stream, Chris. I hope you get to stream more. Yeah, me too. I mean, I enjoy doing this with you folks. And it gets me away from the hustle and bustle and the crap that's going on and work and all that other stuff. And it gives me a chance to actually unwind and, see all the excellent comments. Because those, some of these things I'm going, like we talked about, man, I have to check it out. I haven't even seen that. So it's, it's awesome to be able to do that. I learned something new too. And I've always said, if you don't learn something new, every day, then you're not growing. And that's pretty much it. Exactly, Ricardo. That's what I was saying. The real Jimmy Roberts has been producing many YouTube shorts, which is helping to promote it. Exactly. And it's almost like because it's out of his channel, people are seeing this more and it's drawing more people in. That's the key. So there is a way through the red tape. Dyko May said, I like how Twitter lied for years about shadow banning until Twitter files said that they were with the screenshots of their UI. And yeah, exactly. See what, I mean? That was actually on the news and everything. They're, listen, they're gagging people on these things. They don't want people to know certain things. And that's what it comes down to. They really don't. Here's what I don't get. If it's free speech, then let it be. Now, I get the idea they're trying to stop anything that's got to do with, these real bad conspiracies like, this, that, and the other, who killed Kennedy, blah, 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 and the list goes on and on and on, and all this. I get that. Because some of it's just, you got other stuff, like other crap on the internet, like, violence and, and at one time, I think the people trying to sneak, like, rape and all this other crap. And then please don't, don't want to see that garbage. But yet they'll filter out, channels like mine, Jimmy's, Jean Ward's. And Jean Ward, I don't mind helping him out. Like I said, I'll send everybody I can to his channel. He's got good stuff. Same thing with Jimmy's, Will's. These guys, they put out a lot of good stuff on these channels, and I'll back anybody who's got some decent content and good content to boot. Now there are a lot of channels out there that are nothing but garbage, where it just shows like you can see like a structure you'd see here in ancient India, and yet it's on Mars. It's like, come on. You know what they're doing. It's almost like they're trying to make a mockery of people that are doing the real research, and that's what they're doing, and it's just not right. And I don't know how many channels I've seen, at least 5 or 6. Even Joe from Odd Alien TV's mentioned that. So, yeah, it's sad and it's frustrating and pisses you off at the same time. Richard Bunt, you said your videos are good. The videos with the mechanical parts, buildings, and statues that belong in museums worth billions. Yeah. Yeah. Futuristically minded, you said exactly why they can't give us the pristine and untouched images is beyond me. Yeah. There's no reason for it. Absolutely no reason. Again, you're taking it straight from the rover, uplinking it up to the orbiter, and as soon as we get Earthrise, it literally sends this information. Or they've done this where they sneakily sent it from the actual rover straight to the Deep Space Network. And like I said, they go right to hard drives, and they're doing this, sending it to 3 computers. So when you see this, you're just like, what's the reason? Okay, so you're getting that. I get it. You got to transmit it and receive it somehow. But then, why are these being censored? It should be straight there. Rover, orbiter, Earth, boom, just give them out. Nothing, these things are like a month behind. We've been doing some research on that, and where, like the PDSs and stuff like that. Who was it? Several of us have come together and actually looked at some of these photos that they present, and then a month later, PDS comes out, and it's like pristine, where obviously the regular, photos, they're okay, decent, and they'll go, you'll get those almost immediately, but they're literally censored out. When you get the PDS, suddenly everything looks pristine. You go, wow, it's so crystal clear. It's garbage. I'd rather have the low-grade photos. People go, what the hell would you want that for? You can't make heads or tails. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. Those are the real photos that have been censored. You can see the censoring. You can see what they've done to the photo. When you get the pristine one, they've taken everything out, made it look nice and pretty and clean and clear, and it looks like an actual portrait. That's exactly what it is, a portrait. It's redone over. It looks like garbage. I want to see the real deal. Unless, of course, it's too damn small and you can't see what the hell it is. You can't see it. Diagome, you said if aliens were in our solar system, why would they come anywhere but here? The weather is a lot nicer than Mars or Venus or Jupiter. Well, that's if you assume they're built like us. Think about it. So if they were like us, obviously this is like a pristine atmosphere and everything else for us, to live on. It's because we've adapted. But if you're an alien, is this your kind of planet? The right amount of oxygen, so on and so forth in the air. Is it perfect for you? It may not be. You might have to come to this planet with a suit on. We don't know. Yeah, Ricardo makes a good point too. I'm on Odyssey as well, and as soon as I put these videos up, it automatically, and not the live feeds, but the actual videos, they automatically go to Odyssey. Now, if you go to Odyssey, and I can always drop the link there too, believe it or not, it's less compressed video, and they're clearer up on Odyssey than they are here on YouTube. That's what's crazy. And we've talked about this, and it's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably, I'd say at least 20 to 30 and no less % better than on YouTube. That's crazy, because the first time I watched my own update, I was like, I'm just kind of curious. I went, wow, why does this look so much better? It is. It's much cleaner. Less compression. What if they actually do that too? Maybe they rig that too. Think about it. So it'll look like crap no matter what. He said the battle of alternative YouTube platforms is underway. Rumble is growing fastest, I think. Yeah, somebody said I should go on Rumble as well. I'm not really familiar with that format, but I need to check it out. You know, it wouldn't surprise me when you talk about Tucker Carlson. He said, we'll pop up. Yeah. Word around the campfire is that Tucker Carlson will pop up on Rumble. And Spence, I always watch Jean Ward's videos. Yeah, he does fantastic work as far as satellite views and picking out, because a lot of these photos are very, very large. Like the one I did, satellite view, which he inspired me to do. I looked at it and found out these things are structures. They're not just boulders and what look like stone structures, right? There's more to them than that, and there's more detail. And I've tried to encourage him to try to do that and try to bring out a little bit of, even just a little bit of burn on it. You'll find that these things are being, censored out on top of them. And this is the reason why they all look like giant boulders with more rocks on them. They're much deeper than that. But what he finds are the amazing shapes in these things, which are not natural. There's no way. Some of the stuff he has showed is priceless. I mean, really good stuff. That's why I always try to get people to go to his channel. That's fantastic. And he doesn't have the subs he should have. I don't think so. He shoots straight from the hip. He's a good guy, and that's all there is to it. And he's genuine. Yeah, exactly, Ricardo. You said I always try to promote Jean Ward, Jimmy, Art Alien channels, as they are doing a lot of great work. Exactly. I totally agree. Brian Morgan. I'm not familiar with that one. Oh, you're talking about the little one. Okay. He said, how about the doorway they found on Mars? Yeah, it looks like a cutout, like a doorway, and it almost appears to have stairs in there, right? But I think Jimmy had done it. The real Jimmy Roberts, he had done it, and the thing is not very big. It's not very big at all. I forget how big he come out with, but that doesn't mean it's total BS. Again, how do we know the size of the people that were on Mars, the civilization? How do we know the size of the people that were on the moon? Again, ancient civilizations talk about how there was giants that came down to Earth and then basically, mated with the women of Earth, and they had children. And then next thing you know, you got these very large humans. How do we know we're not the giants now? Think about it. So if we were the giants, everything else would basically pale in comparison as far as height-wise. How do we know? Speculation, but, we don't know. Let's see. Said Simply Steve 68. He said, yeah, they haven't given video. They haven't given video. Instead, they just still pics. And the funny thing about it is, like I said, these things are equipped. Even the Curiosity rover is equipped with 4K cameras. From what I understand, it's either 4K or 8K as far as the rover / Ingenuity helicopter. If you got the Perseverance rover and you got the Ingenuity helicopter, they're supposed to have either 4 or 8K cameras on them. Why do we see trash? And again, anybody can use Photoshop, even the free versions of these, and just put like an auto, color, contrast, and so on and so forth. And you'll see that the environment is not red. It's definitely not red 100%. It is more like the color we see here, blue skies, and yet they want you to believe there's no such thing. And it's BS. Yeah, another good one. Yes, absolutely. Dave, Ricardo Petrozzi says, let's not forget about the 3D vids by Mars X 3D channel. Folks, remember that too. It's Mars X 3D, and that's the channel name. Dave does brilliant work on his channel. If you're looking for more stuff to watch. He'll show you how to do it in 3D. He'll put one picture, make it into two, and so you can have this like dual picture. And of course, it's kind of like the old photos where you used to like cross your eyes and like focus out and like in just instead you can see like a sailboat. Well, it's kind of like that, only not, where you can actually like cross your eyes to a certain degree and everything becomes like a 3D and now has depth to it. So definitely, and he shows like a bunch of good stuff there as well. Good evening, everyone, and enjoyable discussion. Absolutely. With good people. Joe Blow, he said, that makes real good sense, Chris. We might be giants to others. We don't know. If this is true, of course, if this is a big if, we don't know that. Why is it that we can go to some of these other islands, these indigenous people like pygmies, real short, yet we're much taller than they are? Yep. You have a good evening, Michelle, and we'll talk to you soon. And like I said, I'm definitely going to try to get out some more of these Antarctica photos as well. And like I said, I'm going to try to have to bring it back up in this Photoshop. This kind of made me angry that I had to actually restart the whole thing. I didn't have to, but it was better off too. When I try to get back into this, like I said, the first live stream was kind of a disaster, and it was my fault, nobody else's. It was just kind of last second thing to try to get Ricardo on there, and it did not work out. Just a conflict between software, or I should say not software. Well, I guess it's software too if you want to look at it that way. It's just a conflict with that, and that's all. But oh yeah, we will get it ironed out. And if you're leaving, Michelle, thank you very much for your support as always. Continuing supporter. She's not always in there, but she tries to pop in when she can. Like everybody else, she's got a busy lifestyle, and we all try to do what we can, but still want to be friends and everybody hang out together, and that's what I enjoy most. And that's what's awesome. So, again, much love to you. Definitely appreciate you, and that's just absolutely crazy what you did this evening. And I don't have any other word for that. I just don't. Just awesome. Simply Steve 68 said, reminds me of that Twilight Zone EP with the astronauts that discover the micro people and eventually are outsized by bigger people, LOL. Well, that could very well be. That's what I'm saying. We don't know. So when we see these little things on Mars, we're going, sure, yeah, there's like little people on there. I don't believe they're going to be 6 inches high. Like some people go, oh, they're probably like 3 to 6 inches. I don't believe that. However, they could be like this half the size of an average person. To me, an average person anywhere between 5'8" and 6 foot, roughly. Or would you guys say 5'7", 6 foot? That's average size. I'm not saying that's everybody's size. If you're half the size of that, maybe 3.5 feet. I don't know. 4 foot. But I'm saying roughly around 3.5 feet. That would make sense, Maybe as 0303, what's happening? Good to see you in there. He said, good day, Chris, and all. Oh, you can have holiday now, Chris. Interesting. I didn't think of that. Which one are you talking about, Joe Blow? You said that movie was on a comet, too. John Shea, what's happening? Good to see you in there, too. Eve, Chris, and all. What's happening, John? How you been? You doing all right? Simply Steve, yep. Pygmy people. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we really don't know. There's some things I see on the moon that they literally tower over like the astronaut. However, it's not hugely over them. It's like good size. Like if you were to, I don't know, let's say 100 foot by 100 foot structure, that's not really that big. If you really think about it, it's really not that large. And that may be the average person's home on Mars. Who knows? May not be that big at all, 50 foot by 50 foot. If they're small, that's quite large. It depends on size, right? Size does matter. I'm okay, thanks. All good. Well, that's good to hear. Like I said, there's a lot of you folks that either not get notifications or whatever, and it's good to see old friends popping back up because, like I said, and that's why I always tell people in the videos, make sure you go back into it, make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you go in there and hit that bell, and it says, and you got a tick, and it says all, so you'll be notified of these because a lot of people go, oh yeah, I've been already subbed to you, but then some people are going, yeah, I've been unsubbed. I don't know how long. I don't know why. I've never seen a video, and then I looked and I'm unsubbed. Or the bell's not ticked. I went, imagine that. It's funny how that works. Simply Steve, dwarf, hi-ho, it's off to Mars we go. Oh, yeah. And if any of you folks are here and did not throw a thumbs up, please do so. And at the end, just go ahead and, drop a comment there under the video, and it helps, YouTube actually, promote the video a little bit more, right? Or live feed, depending on what it is. Sky Blue said it's significant that a documentary they found something that made them send a probe and track it down. Oh yeah, more. Yeah, talking about that. Yeah, I forgot how long it will take years. Google says nothing about it. Well, if you're talking about a more, I'm not sure if you're talking about that one or not. Yeah, I mean, because like I said, what does it take to crunch numbers to do that? To rendezvous, if that's what you're talking about. The numbers it takes to crunch that is amazing. Think about that. And one, you got to build this thing. It's got to be able to be, go through space, even though it's a void. But, there could be little particles, little, mini rocks, we'll call them, floating out in space. You can hit those and, basically render it useless. It's got a rendezvous, as it's traveling in its orbit. And you have to travel just as fast, if not faster, and meet up with it, and then orbit it, and then land on it. Or at least go around it and track it, whatever. Meaning, take photos. And it's more than photos, right, folks? They're using some kind of lidar or some kind of radar to penetrate that thing to find out what's going on. I find hard to believe they're just going to fly all the way to just take a couple snapshots. What do you folks think? Using some kind of radar, want to penetrate the outside of that thing and find out what's in it? Maybe they just find rock. Maybe there's nothing there to see but rock. But why, out of thousands upon thousands of rocks, millions of rocks out there, we got to take photos of these. I'm sure there's more rocks coming in and out of our solar system than we can imagine. And yet, we got to center on these. And most of these things look like they take on the same shape, which is really wild. So it makes you wonder, is there something to these things? Are they giving off some kind of weird signal that they're seeing, and they're saying, hey, check this thing out. It's got some kind of beacon. It should not. Mr. 786 Auto, what's going on? Good to have you in there. Coffee on me. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you for your support as always, and good to see you in there. Exactly, Simply Steve. You said have to wait for the video to be posted before we can leave a comment. Besides, here in chat, no comment tab. Yeah, exactly. That's why I said after it, finalizes it and puts it on there for everybody to see. But yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, we're pretty good. Between starting the other live feed that, like I said, went horribly wrong. It really wasn't that bad. It was just a lot of technical issues. Between that and we started at 3, like 4:45. But so yeah, we are definitely gonna jump off this bad boy. Oh man, I gotta get me something to eat too. Got something to drink. Have a drink on me. Yeah. But again, Mr. 786 Auto, thank you very much. Mr. Michel, thank you very much as well. Much love to all you folks out there for supporting the channel. It is greatly appreciated. You guys know that. It helps the channel out. And like I said, we're going to start doing a lot of them, the shorts too, even just to give get more people on board. And let's be honest, that's what it's really all about. So you can spread the word even more so, right? And that's what we try to do anyway. And, get more people on board and they can see more of what's going on. I think this information should be out. Our government's sure in heck not going to do it. NASA's sure in hell not going to do it. None of these space agencies are going to do it, so it's kind of up to us. And between a bunch of us doing this, it's not just me. I can't take any credit for all of that. But everybody's doing their own thing, got their own flavor, and they're putting out content. That's just really good content. And I think everybody should be doing that. More information gets out, the better. I had a couple of people ask me, hey, do you mind if I take your video and I'll make sure that I, I'll give you credit for it. And I go, listen, as long as you give me credit for it, then you want to show it and you want to do your own thing with it. In other words, you want to do your own, go for it. I don't have a problem with it. You'll have your own subs, and if it improves your channel, plus you're doing your own enhancements, which is making it even better, then yes, by all means, get the information out. That's what it's all about. Let's see. I'll answer this one here real quick. Brian Morgan, your question was, what's your thoughts that we really do have a secret space program and whether we've left our solar system already? I don't know if I can say we've left the solar system, but yeah, we definitely have a secret space program. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. People have talked about this. There's some things going on. Some people even speculated. And I know there's a video out there about we've already been to Mars. You can see where they're actually orbiting it. And you can see, now there's one that I find that's kind of fake, and I don't believe in that too much on it, is that it shows that they actually land. You can see something moving under the sand. I'm not so sure I believe that part, but it would not surprise me if they showed, like they're orbiting Mars and you can actually see it rotating as they're going around it. Now, can that be fabricated? Absolutely. Sure. Would I, as far as space programs and stuff like that, again, they're trying to push the envelope where they can get engines that will get them anywhere they need to go. Even if it's just, plasma or ion engines, it doesn't matter. The thing is, as long as they know they can get there with little fuel, high technology and little fuel, they can get from point A to point B. In our solar system right now, they're golden. They don't care. Why? I wouldn't care either. Let's say, because remember before, it used to take, 9 months to get to Mars. And, of course, you got to do it every 2-year interval. That's when Mars is closest to Earth and when they can rendezvous with it easier. Okay, so now they're saying that it could take 7 now. Okay, so what if they've already built engines that were much better, whether it be ion or, like I said, plasma or any of that sort, and it can get there in a month? They don't care. As long as they can get there sooner and get their hands on these things and really, maybe they already have a civilization on Mars to begin with. They've got it on the moon. Whether it's scientifically based or whatever it is, still there's a civilization, small group of people, maybe on Mars, I'm not sure, but I can almost bet, definitely the moon. Now, they said, you listen to different stories, we've already visited Mars, we've been on Mars for quite some time. And in a sense, that would even, blow my mind. Really, wouldn't even surprise me. If we've been to, again, we've been having space flights since, at least rocketry, right, going to Mars. We got the landers and orbiters and so on and so forth back in the 70s. We've had one back in, was it 60s? What was the name of that darn thing? It was like a little tiny box robot. It literally went like this. It had like these ski type things. It would walk like this. And it was tethered to the actual lander. Of course, it was a failure, but they still got it on there. And you don't really see that one talked about really at all. And then, of course, we had, like I said, the Sojourner rover on in 97, 2004. You had the Spirit and Opportunity. 2012, you had Curiosity rover. Now, and we got the Perseverance. So there's quite a bit of spacecraft and all the attempts to even get to Mars. What for? What's there? Why bother? I mean, I know they say that'd be the closest planet to us be able to live on. Where we can, it's habitable, where we can get away with it. Tweak it a little bit, meaning have your own habitat type thing. But you try to go any closer to the sun, of course, it gets a lot hotter. But it's easier to heat something up, as opposed to trying to cool it off. But whatever. Interesting. But I don't know about leaving the solar system, like I said, but we've definitely been throughout this solar system, one way or the other. As far as people-wise, a little bit more difficult because, again, you can send probes all day long and rovers and landers and everything else. But I strongly believe we've been on the moon, or we still are, and I still believe there's a very good possibility around Mars as well. Man, leftover chili. Yeah, now you're making me hungry. Yep, Voyager 2 left the solar system. Oh, yeah, quite a while ago. Same reason they went to the moon? For new tech. Yep. Brian, you said they gave us certain tech in return for us giving back the Ebens. They perished in the Roswell crash. Well, I mean, there's always been talk about that, too, where they swapped out information and stuff like that. And maybe there's things they need here from our planet. We need technology. So is it possible they could have done a bartering type thing? Sure. Not to mention you gain allies. So, yeah. But anyway, folks, I'm going to let everybody go. Starting to get hungry here myself. Voice is starting to get a little crackly. I've only been talking for what? 4 hours. Not too bad. 4.5 hours. Maybe even closer to 5. Yeah, closer to 5. So anyway, I'm going to let everybody go. And thank you for all of you being here. If you haven't left a thumbs up, please do so. I just appreciate it. And again, thank you all for the support. Doesn't matter what it is. It's just, it's just awesome to see that. And again, much love to everybody. And we'll see you guys soon because, like I said, I got a video coming out. It'll probably be on, I want to say Monday, latest Tuesday. It depends on what happens at the beginning of the week. It's always a disaster, so you know how that goes. So what we'll do is we'll get this one out. And you'll be surprised what's in this one. This one's cool. This is pretty neat. Rico, this is intermission. Yeah, buddy. So, yeah. So you guys will like this one. Again, this is from China's Zhurong rover. And that's pretty neat. In other words, they're just hiding stuff just like NASA is. No different. None of them that are going to Mars are going to tell the public their truth. Simple as that. We got to decipher it ourselves. But anyway, I'm going to let everybody go. Have yourself a good weekend. Well, the rest of it. Be healthy. Stay safe. We'll talk to you guys soon. Well.